Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to a game that gets too often forgotten. Persona 2 has become the series' definitive cult classic, being revered for a lot of its narrative and gameplay decisions, but also somehow being left out of a lot of modern conversation. But I've heard rumors that this game is too easy, and that the main character is so strong that they can win most battles by themselves. So, let's make that rumor a reality. Can you beat Persona 2 Eternal Punishment with only Maya? The rules of this run are simple. Only Maya is allowed to have a quantifiable effect on anything. Nobody else is allowed to heal, talk to demons, attack in combat, nothing. But unlike SMT games where people can hit 0 HP, everyone will revive with 1 HP after a combat, which would mean we could theoretically use them as damage sponges. So how do we deal with that? When a character joins your party, the game sets a variable to mark them as active, and if they leave, they are made inactive. Using some game shortcodes I found on CodeTwink, I could add or remove characters from my party as needed, while preventing them from rejoining if they ever would. This is also why we're using the PS1 version, as I couldn't find equivalent codes for the PSP version. With the rules set, we open on our main character, whom I named the most shameless thing I can think of, alone at a shrine, remembering when it had burned down, which is strange considering that's not something that ever happened. An old woman comes to comfort us, but we know that we must atone for our sins as we... Wait a second, that's not the main character. Anyway, we open on our actual main character, Maya Amano. After we get a fun piece of fan mail, we get reamed out by our boss, Editor-in-Chief Mizuno, who is apparently 30-something and still not married. She calls our news story crap, denies our PTO, and then tells us to investigate the rumors of a serial killer called Joker going around Seven Sisters, the local high school. So we head downstairs, only to find our girl failure roommate, Ulala, ready to go to a party and pick up some guys. Once we tell her we got stuck with more work, she's a bit pissed, but does offer to help so we can finish faster and get to the party later. So we head on down to Sevens and find a guidance counselor getting interrogated about the murders by a police detective, who, because of the name we gave that other boy, is called Tatsuya Scribe. And he does also seem to be spending a lot of time asking about his brother.
I got it, thank you. By the way, is there a sub here? What has his activity been lately?
Sir, I am a minor.
That's not... Subscribe is a family name, I'll have you know.
Meanwhile, the shithead principal seems to think that one of the students, Anna Yoshizaka, is the killer. And while her best friend Noriko says it couldn't be her, Anna's not doing herself any favors by mumbling about how she's gonna kill him. And things only get worse for her when we find the principal dead in his office 2 minutes later. Katsuya assumes this is another Joker murder, so when Anna walks in, everyone thinks she did it, only to walk right into the actual Joker 2 seconds later. Turns out he's the one who sent us that creepy letter. According to the rumors, when someone calls the Joker, he kills whoever they tell him to. So he's here to kill us with his demons. But because he's a good sport, he tosses us some guns and tells us to summon our personas.
Persona! Persona! Call out your persona! What is this feeling?
I am Maya. You who have had the trials of solitude thrust upon you, I will nurse you to your fullest potential. I am thou, thou art I.
Really? They gave Maya Amano Maya as a persona? How original.
Yeah? What's your persona?
Here I come, I am Philemon. Philemon calls us into the realm between consciousness and unconsciousness, and informs us that we have the power of persona. But apparently, someone else's misfortune was so great that it left him so weak he can barely maintain his form. He tells us that rumors will become reality, and then we all wake up back in Sevens. Since the Joker was just here and committed a murder, Katsuya calls for backup and demands that we stick together. So, with Ulala refusing to be left behind, we get our first 2 bench warmers and head into Seven Sisters to stop the Joker. And if you thought other SMT and Persona games were rough to solo run, you ain't seen nothing yet. Outside of the fact that we only have 1 unit, which means Maya is dealing less and taking more damage, our ability to play the game is also uniquely limited. See, Eternal Punishment has a demon negotiation system, which sees you pick options to converse with demons. Each choice you make results in a demon either being happy, interested, afraid, or angry. Once you reach 3 of the same result, the demon and any other of the same demon in the combat will react accordingly. Angry results in the demons potentially attacking you, and fear results in the demons running for their lives. But what we care about is making demons interested, since that will have the demon give us tarot cards of their arcana. This is how we get new personas. Unlike future games where personas are obtained in dungeons, here they are essentially crafted. For example, if we take 8 lovers cards to the Velvet Room, we can spend them to summon Pixie. This makes interested results by far the most valuable, as they determine what arcana we have access to, and thus what persona we have access to. But what about happy results, I hear you ask? Well, they don't matter, because it's almost impossible for us to get them. For sake of argument, happy results would have a demon offer to form a contract with us. Then, if we can make them happy again, they'll offer us money, items, or even rumors about skills or events. Contracts also increase the value of interested results. If you make a demon you have a contract with interested, they will give you more tarot as well as free tarot, which you can give to Kazuma Kaneko in the Velvet Room to turn into tarot of any arcana. If we could make a demon happy and interested, it would be amazing. Sadly, that's easier said than done, since demon negotiations were designed assuming you would have 3 to 5 characters to use. Each character only has 1 contact option by themselves, but having characters work together results in new options. These results aren't just based on the characters used, but also the order. Maya solo is interview, and Katsuya solo is interrogation. Maya plus Katsuya makes advise, but Katsuya plus Maya makes group therapy. Going solo means we lose access to 98% of the game's contact options. We are stuck with Maya's interview. And spoilers, there is not a single demon in the game that is happy to be interviewed. This means we have no way to form contracts, and thus no way to get free tarot. The only personas we can use are those of arcanas Maya can make interested. And this creates another issue. See, each character has varying affinity with different personas, usually based on the persona's arcana, which affects how well that character can use that persona. Unlike later games, skills in Persona 2 don't have a set cost. Instead, every persona has a set SP cost for every skill they have, and a character's affinity determines how much of that cost they have to pay. Great and Good Affinity both provide a 25% reduction on SP cost. Normal Affinity pays the flat cost, Bad Affinity pays 50% more, and Worst Affinity means the persona cannot be equipped at all. Also worth noting, everyone has great affinity with their starting personas and worst with everyone else's. So we cannot use Katsuya's Helios, Ulala's Callisto, or any future starting personas we obtain. Affinity also determines the odds a persona will undergo mutation, a random event that can occur after ending a combat with a fusion spell. Special attacks that require multiple units to use specific spells in a specific order. As a one-woman army, we lose access to both fusion spells and mutations, so affinity only matters in regards to spell cost. Thus, we'll want to prioritize arcanas that Maya can use effectively. Maya has great affinity with the Magician, the Hermit, Temperance, and the Moon, and good affinity with the Priestess, the Empress, Fortune, the Star, the Sun, and Judgment. However, she has bad affinity with the Lovers and the Tower, and worst affinity with Strength. The reason I bring this up is because of the 7 demons in 7 Sisters that we can talk to, the only one who gives us tarot is Slime, who is the Tower Arcana. So the only personas we could obtain by farming in 7 Sisters are ones we are literally penalized for using. With that in mind, we'll be sticking with Maya for now. Maya as in the persona, not the user. And unfortunately, Maya the persona kind of struggles early on. While she has no weaknesses, her initial skill is Hama, a light element instant kill attack, so dealing damage early on is a bit difficult. Thankfully, about half the demons in 7s are weak to light, so we can slowly rank her up and learn Aqua, Dia, Media, and Multidimension, a non-elemental instant kill. The instant kill moves aren't really worth using, since enemies usually die faster to actually dealing damage, but Aqua gives us a solid DPS option, and Media a powerful source of healing. Thus, I recommend maxing out Maya's rank before you tackle the boss of this area, as you'll need to be really bulky to stand a chance. This also affects how we pick our stats as we level up. Strength increases physical attack, Vitality increases your HP and physical defense, Technical increases your MP, magic attack, and magic defense, Agility increases accuracy, evasion, and turn order, and Luck affects crit rate, chance to recover from ailments, and odds of mutation. You know, if we could trigger one. The game heavily favors mage builds, so Vitality and Tech should be your main stats, with a soft lean towards Tech. 7s is a really small dungeon, you can just talk to this guy on the 2nd floor to get the clock tower key, but I recommend grinding to level 6 before tackling the boss. In the clock tower, we find the Joker talking to Anna like he knows her, and he won't leave her alone. As we move in to save her, he summons 2 Apep and an Empusa to fight us off. Everyone in this fight hits particularly hard, the Apep with their bite and Empusa with Baofu. That's why we wanted both Vitality and Tech for our defenses. In terms of offense, the Apep takes 75% less damage from water, but Maya's guns are so pathetic that Aqua will still be hitting them harder. I spent most of the fight using Aqua for damage and Dia for healing, but when my MP got low, I swapped to guns for damage and saved the MP for healing. With 10 technical and 8 vitality, it didn't take much to win this fight. After which, the Joker knocks us out with a sleep spell. But before he can do anything, we're saved by someone familiar. He tosses us the Seven Sisters emblem and tells us to spread a rumor at the Kuzunoha Detective Agency that the emblems will keep you safe from the Joker. How this deja vu boy knows so much is anyone's guess, but we decide to hold on to the emblem for now. Once everyone else wakes up, Katsuya's backup finally arrives. After he makes his report on the Joker, for some reason his superior, Captain Shimazu, takes him off the case, and then makes a shitty comment about his father. Katsuya's not backing down though, so we decide to take Deja Vu Boy's suggestion and go spread that rumor. Before you leave Renegade, stop by Gaten Sushi first. Persona 2 allows you to eat food at the restaurants throughout Sumaru City to gain temporary stat boosts, and Gaten Sushi has one of the best options. For only 400 yen, we can buy fish fin to get a +8 to our technical stat. Eating a fish fin seems a bit weird, but for a +8 to technical, I'll eat a salt packet for all I care. Back in Aoba, we hit up the Kuzunoha Detective Agency to spread that rumor. After we do so, Tamaki mentions someone named Baofu who runs an online rumor board. She offers to get us in touch with him, so after an online chat where we tell him how we survived a run-in with the Joker, he agrees to meet us at /, the local internet cafe. Once we get there, he immediately realizes we're all Persona users, before taking us out to drinks at the local bar, Parabellum.
Up until recently, the only Joker anyone cared about was some twink in a trench coat. Well, unless you're the foreign minister Tatsuya Sudou, of course.
The foreign minister is into twinks and trench coats?
How did you get that from what I said?
Turns out the foreign minister is into some pretty shady stuff, including covering up for his son, Tatsuya Sudou, who is a serial murderer and arsonist. Not to mention, Tatsuzo seemed to know about the Joker before the rumors started. Not wanting to be off whatever's happening, Baofu joins the party and even tests out that rumors becoming reality thing by calling the Kuzunoha and having them spread a rumor that weapons are being sold at the bar. And sure enough, by the time we finish our drinks, we're armed and ready to take on the Joker. Of course, Deja Vu Boy's rumor made it so the Seven Sisters emblem would keep us safe. If we keep it, we'll probably never even find the Joker. So, we light it on fire and toss it into the ashtray as part of the coolest fucking scene ever. With our plan set and one extra bench warmer, we prepare to head to the sanitarium where they're keeping Tatsuzo's son. Baofu suggests visiting the Velvet Room before we go, but first, head back into Parabellum and buy some weapons for yourself. Since we don't need to buy gear for anyone else, all of our money can go towards gearing up Maya. Plus, after Baofu spreads the Parabellum rumor, this unlocks the game's rumor monger system. By talking to the various rumor mongers in Sumaru City, we can learn rumors that let us make stores sell weapons and armor, so make sure you're searching around town for the latest gossip. For now though, there isn't much. Baofu's rumor board in // says Rosa Candida is selling battle armor, and Toro in Gaten Sushi says that Time Castle in Rengadai is selling spell cards. Grab and spread both rumors, then go back to Gaten Sushi, since after you spread the first Time Castle rumor, Toro will have another one that says they can duplicate spell cards as well. This one is important, as we're going to break the game, and Time Castle's card duplication is the first step in my evil plan. But we'll get to evil plans later. For now, stop by the Velvet Room to throw Callisto, Furios, and Baofu's Odysseus in the trash, head to Rosa Candida to get the latest in cowboy fashion, then mosey on up towards the Sanitarium. Most of the enemies on Mount Mifune are repeats from Seven Sisters, and the ones that aren't we'll see again so soon that it's not worth talking about them yet. As for tarot cards, Blob is another source of Tower Arcana, but New Edition Ogre acts as a source of Chariot Tarot. Chariot personas tend to lean towards physical attacks, but at this point, I'll take anything. That said, save the game often. Zombie kamikazes are a common encounter here, whose main strategy is... Eventually though, we reach the Sanitarium, only to find dead bodies all around the lobby, all of whom were armed. Baofu recognizes them as members of the Tien Tao Lin, the Taiwanese Mafia. Why the fuck is the Taiwanese Mafia in this game? Why are they attacking the sanitarium Tatsuya's son is in? Let's go find out, I guess. Inside, Cockatrice and Robin Goodfellow give us access to World and Lovers Tarot, and Ogre is still here to provide more Chariot Tarot. Since Lovers is one of our bad arcana, Robin Goodfellow's low priority, but grab as many Chariot and World Tarot as you can.
Do you have anything to say to your fans?
Get used to that, you're gonna hear it a lot. By the way, both Ogre and Cockatrice have the Beast personality, so they have the same dialogue for contacts. What do they have to say to their fans?
You, me, interview. Me, good guy. Ask anything.
What type of girls do you like?
Oh, me like fat females. They birth many kids.
This is bullshit! This is an outrage! I am into fat bitches!
The Sanitarium does have a Velvet Room, so I decided to check what personas we could obtain with Chariot, World, Lovers, and Tower Tarot. Sadly, this only gives us 4 options. Chariot provides us with Minotaur starting at level 10, Lovers has Pixie from the start and Robin Goodfellow at level 6, Tower has Kanaloa, but would require us to be level 19, and the earliest World persona that we can get is Demeter, who requires us to be level 26. Unless we spend several hours grinding, these are our options, all of which suck for one reason or another. Pixie is just the worst version of Maya with a bad arcana, and Robin Goodfellow focuses more on status ailment than dealing damage. This leaves us with Minotaur, and while he has decent offense and takes 75% less physical damage, he takes 50% more magic damage, which is not something we can afford right now. Once again, we're stuck with Maya. Investigating the Sanitarium, we find a nurse hiding in room 206 who claims that Tatsuya Sudou summoned demons in room 203. Once we find the room, Tatsuya pulls us in to investigate, and yeah, it certainly fits the bill. We find a picture of Tatsuya Sudou's victims plastered on the wall, along with the Oracle of Maya, which somehow causes our chest to start hurting. While I don't think anyone would blame Maya for being a bit uncomfortable here, Ulala mentions a bruise that formed after we bumped into Deja Vu Boy for the first time. Combine that with Tatsuya Sudou acting like he knows us, and something is very clearly wrong with this family. So we make our way to the 4th floor to confront the old maid.
You're Tatsuya Sudou. All the Joker killings and the arson 10 years ago. That was you, wasn't it?
I am the only person in a room full of bodies, standing next to a literal hellhound. That was you, wasn't it? No shit, Sherlock. Aren't you supposed to be a cop? Tatsuya explains how the reason he's able to kill people as the Joker is because of his father spreading the Joker rumors. As for why he's trying to kill his son now, who can say? But when Tatsuya gets a phone call, he mentions it's from the people outside. Surprise, it's the Taiwanese Mafia! The second Baofu sees them though, he takes off and leaves the party. Sudou rambles about how this side is wrong and the other side is right, and how we should know what he's talking about. Of course, since we have no idea what he's talking about, he gets pissed and tells us to come to the Sky Museum if we want to find out. That is, if this hellhound doesn't kill us first.
Wait, Sudou!
The hellhound has around 700 HP and is actually weak to water, so Maya should be able to kill it in roughly 12 to 15 shots. That said, getting those shots in is harder than it sounds. The hellhound has very strong fire attacks and also packs poisonous bite and tackle for strike and attack damage. Attack damage? Yeah, so this game has 5 physical elements: sword, shot, strike, thrown, and attack. Who the hell thought that was an acceptable element name? And what's even worse is that nobody's basic attack is attack element. But even if they were, attack is just such a bad name for an element. You know what? I'm calling it Havoc. It just feels kind of right, you know? Seems familiar too. Anyway, with the Hellhound dealing 30 to 50 damage a turn and only having 120 HP, we die in 3 or 4 hits. So we're gonna be healing a lot. Plus, if we get poisoned by Poisonous Bite, we're going to be taking even more damage per turn, and there's not really a good time to cure it using items. Plus, he uses it so often that we'll probably just get poisoned again anyway, so using an antidote is just wasted time. But once I realized that, I stopped and looked at how much damage I was actually taking. If I'm above half health, I can survive the poison damage as well as the Hellhound's next attack. After that, I can just heal on the next turn before it gets the chance to kill me. With that mindset, poison's not really a concern. The strategy was definitely risky, and I totally could have died if he used tackle more often, but I was healing just enough to stay alive. Took a lot of luck and a lot of heal spam, but after around 30 minutes, we put this dog on a leash. Before you head to the Sky Museum, grab all the rumors about Battlemaster's sweepstakes. Battlemaster is the first of 3 sweepstakes magazines that you can buy from Satomi Tadashi, and the rumor you spread decides what prizes they have. This can get you some pretty solid items, and they pay out pretty often, so keep an eye out for these rumors. After that, I went to the Conan Police Department to dump 10,000 yen into the police dog statue. I kinda thought I might get a stat boost out of this, but instead, I got a crafting material called a Hihi Irokane, which is something I'll be using later. With your chores complete, head to the
Science Museum.
Turns out, it's field trip day, and we also meet an older boy named June, who remembers us from the time we bumped into Deja Vu Boy. Katsuya and Ulala remind everyone that the place is about to get blown up, so we need to get all these kids out of here before that happens. Once Sudou firebombs the place, we're put on a 30-minute timer to find all the kids hiding on each floor. Every time you go to a new floor, fire will prevent you from backtracking, so comb each floor for treasure first. It shouldn't be too hard to find all the kids within the time limit, but you can't save once the timer starts, so you only get one shot. You can tell if there are still children to save by if June is blocking the way to the next floor. Once you get to the 4th floor, Sudou will enable random encounters, and the demons here are actually pretty tough. Don't be afraid to use dialogue to get out of fights. Cockatrice, Robin Goodfellow, and new addition Kimura can all be talked down. Once all the kids are safe, head to the 5th floor. Get away from my boyfriend, you bitch! How does it feel, Sub? Your little boy toy doesn't even remember you.
Okay, firstly, Sub, at least take me to dinner first. Secondly, could we maybe move this
Off of the burning building?
What the? Sub?
Wait, he calls you a sub too? How many boyfriends do you have?
He's not my boyfriend, he's my brother.
Your brother calls you a sub?
As we're trying to save Sub, Sudou tries to take advantage of the situation, only for June to surprise attack him and shove him off the roof. Everyone has a lot of questions, but Sub suggests using the blimp to escape. Since the kids spread a rumor that it could actually fly, this means it can fly, and Sub claims he knows how to pilot it. Well, I'll be damned. He actually can fly a blimp. With barely enough time to catch our breath, Sub tells June to take the controls. June asks how he knows his name, but suddenly there's an explosion at the back of the blimp. Sub immediately runs off to go deal with it, and following him, we find our unwelcome stowaway having a fucking meltdown. Sub says he'll take care of it, but to hell with that, it's girl power time! I may have overestimated the strength of girl power. At the start of the fight, Sudou summons 2 Shaks and 2 Minotaur, all of whom are pretty strong and have around 400 HP. Meanwhile, Sudou has almost 1300 and hits even harder. The reason we're getting hit with all this bullshit is because typically, Scribe temporarily joins our party, and he's 40 levels higher than us and can target all of the summon's fire weaknesses. Sub being here gives you a fighting chance, but without him, or at least running solo, this fight is genuinely impossible. We simply do not have the stats to get out of this fight alive. Maya usually dies on the first turn, and even if she survives, we can't heal enough for it to matter. Why not just grind, I hear you say? We can't! Since we're on a timer in the museum, we literally don't have time. Well, can't we grind at the Sanitarium? Nope. Once we leave the Sanitarium, we can't return. The only dungeon we have access to is the one that does not let you grind. I considered grabbing a new persona before the dungeon, but without the Star Terror we could get from Kimura, our options haven't changed. Minotaur, Pixie, and Robin Goodfellow. And since we can't backtrack to the Sanitarium, we can't level up to access Kanaloa or Demeter. We are unable to change personas, and the only way forward is to fight a boss we cannot beat unless we use Scribe. There is nothing we can do here. There is no way forward. We are soft-locked. The run is over.
Yeah! It's all fate!
But it didn't have to be over. I didn't see this coming, but if I had, I could have grinded. But now, there is only one way to change this fate. That is, I must tear away my choice to leave the Sanitarium from the fabric of existence. If I wanted to grind for levels and new personas, if I wanted to succeed, I would have to give up and start again. Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to a game that gets too often forgotten. So we make our way to the 4th floor to confront the old maid. But before you do that, we're gonna need to grind. Not for this boss fight, but for the next. See, the next dungeon's boss fight is against Tatsuya Sudou, who summons 2 Minotaurs and 2 Shacks. Usually, Deja Vu Boy would join as a temporary party member, and he could basically carry the entire fight. But since we're solo, we won't have that luxury. So I proceeded to backtrack and grind for around 14 levels. If we wanted to stand a chance against Sudou, we'll need everything we have available. So I grinded to level 26 and grabbed the Tower and World cards to summon Kanaloa and Demeter. Kanaloa isn't the greatest offensively, however he is a much stronger healer than Maya. But Demeter is the star of the show, having access to Maha Magnus for medium group target earth damage, Diorama for medium single target heal, and 99 Needles for high single target thrown damage. This took me forever, but trust me, it's required. With that, we entered the office to confront... Hell with that, it's girl power time! Sudou summons his demons at the start of the fight, and if we were a normal level, all of them would be dealing around a quarter of our health each. But with all of our grinding, they could barely touch us. At least until Sudou breaks out one of his semi-unique spells. Wanna play some Old Maid? Old Maid is a spell unique to all enemies that use the Joker as their persona. Typically, it selects a random party member and designates them as the Old Maid. If the Old Maid uses any action that isn't to defend, they will instead cast the Joker spell, dealing high damage to their allies instead. There is no way to know who the Old Maid is, so normally you either have to guard with everybody or just suffer the damage. The good news is that on a solo run, we always know who the Old Maid is. The bad news is it's always us. While the Joker spell doesn't damage us, the fact that we are forced to use it means that Old Maid is a 100% guaranteed turn skip. And if Sudou uses it at a bad time, we're kinda screwed. If the summons are alive, we can just get stun-locked into a kill combo if Sudou decides he's feeling particularly dickish today. Thus, it is imperative that we kill the summons as quickly as possible. Once the fight is a 1v1, Sudou is a lot less scary. His own attacks do very little to us, and if we're forced into defending because of Old Maid, they'll do even less. Also, something funny, when the game tries to add Sub to our party, it also adds his persona, Apollo, to our stock. We can't use it, of course, so now Apollo's just chilling there. Regardless, at this point, Sudou's already lost. He can't stall with Old Maid forever. He will attack us eventually, and when he does, that's when we get to hit him back. It may have taken a lot of grinding, but at level 26, Tatsuya Sudou goes down. After this, June informs us that the blimp is crashing, but almost like he expected this, Sub tosses open the doors, throws his brother out of the blimp, and tells everyone to jump.
I know this might sound weird after all that, but call me sometime?
Don't make this more difficult.
How did you know how to fly this thing?
I don't know, I just started pushing buttons.
Now that's something you don't do every day.
Baofu suggests checking in on Kismet Publishing, and it's there that we get introduced to the new famous fortune teller, Wanglong Chizuru, who specializes in Wanglong fortune telling. After she reads our fortune, she asks if we're happy we came into this world and how the world is made to punish humans for their sinful past through an endless cycle of reincarnation.
Who the fuck starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
For whatever reason, her fortune telling does seem to be catching on. as we see the rest of Kismet watching a story about it on TV, where she says that she'll reveal who the Joker really is. She says that in Wang Long, the Joker is Joka, a human possessed by negative emotions, which she calls Kegare. Kegare calls forth more Kegare, causing Joka to perpetuate crime, creating a loop of cause and effect. This turns into a rumor that the Joker was not one person, and if you perform the Joker curse, you will be possessed by Joka and become a Joker yourself. Meanwhile, Baofu is busy wiretapping Tatsuya's phone, though he doesn't know who he's talking to. Turns out, it's Captain Shimazu. Katsuya walks in to see Sudou's murders in the Sanitarium, the Sky Museum fire, and the magical rumor blimp all getting covered up. Suddenly, someone runs in saying that a series of homicides have occurred that are identical to the Joker incidents. When Katsuya suggests that Tatsuya was involved, Police Chief Tokashi takes him off active duty, to which this guy with a scar calls them both crooked cops, to which he's kinda right. Shimazu hands him a list of all the people who have called the Joker, and he recognizes Ulala's name on the list. Shimazu says not to bother with her, saying that she can be used for something else. And cutting to her, we see her taking out her stress on a punching bag when she hears the new Joker rumors. Cutting back to us, we see the cover-up Katsuya heard about on the news. With the help of Baofu, who was already downstairs, we realize that Tatsuya had the Sanitarium blown up to hide the evidence, and must have somehow realized we took out his son on the blimp. Baofu knows they're going after someone, but he couldn't tell who the mark was. So while he's not too keen about working with Katsuya, he knows he's the best way to get the info we need. So we head down to Conan PD and pick up a very disillusioned Katsuya. But before we can pick up Ulala, she calls and tells us that we need to run before she changes, as we hear her become a Joker in real time. That means she's going to try and kill whoever she had cursed. So we think long and hard, trying to find a memory of anyone Ulala would have wanted dead. Here we find our third floor suspect, who reveals himself to be Makimura, who is actually Ulala's ex-husband. As he prepares to summon his persona, Ulala bursts in, awakens to her persona, and chases him out of the building. What the hell game was that? I don't remember making a video about that game. Weird deja vu aside, the flashback at least gave us a name, Makimura, Ulala's ex-husband, who stole all of her money in a marriage scam. Seems reasonable she'd want him dead, so we go and track him down. Baofu mentions a rumor that the woman who runs Izakaya Saraishi runs a service for locating people. So we head there and ask her, and she says that Parabellum is apparently a hotspot for younger women lately, so a con artist like Makimura might be prowling around there. But on our way back, we decide to stop by some notable locations in Hirosaka. First is the Sumaru prison, where we find this blue-haired narcissist Eikichi Mishina practicing with his rock band. And the second is Kasagayama High, which acts as this game's optional bonus dungeon. Kas High contains every encounter in the game, with the main part of the school having encounters from Seven Sisters and the rest being located in the underground bomb shelter. As we progress the story, more of the bomb shelter will open up, so you can come back here to farm taro if you need to. We also meet Hiroki Sugimoto down here, a punk who lost to Eikichi in junior high who was secretly plotting his revenge by vocalizing it out loud. Once we're done with our detours, we head to Parabellum and find Makimura scamming a woman out of 3 million yen in real time.
Oh, you can trust me, honey. With this, I'm gonna be the biggest Shin Megami Tensei Challenge Run channel ever. Oh, I love you so much.
Is she actually buying that crock of shit?
Didn't we do this joke in Nocturne Hard Type?
This isn't even an SMT game.
Katsuya asks Makimura to come with us on suspicions of fraud, to which he denies even knowing Ulala. So Katsuya mentions how she likely called the Joker on her ex, so they were here to protect him, but if he's not Makimura, then they need to go find him right away. To which Baofu doubles down, saying that the poor bastard's probably already dead. And once they start to leave, he immediately folds right in front of his mark. What a fucking loser. Anyway, seeing as Ulala is most likely at Fitness Club Gold in Yumazaki, we head there next. But this is when I noticed something interesting. For some reason, removing everyone from our party also removes them from the overworld, so I've not been able to talk to anybody all game. So imagine my surprise when I walked into Peace Niner and saw Makimura in the doorway.
Oh, this place is the best place to pick up babes. I lost count how many skirts I got here.
Yeah, for whatever reason, while Makimura is with the party, he actually appears in the overworld and has dialogue in every location. And he is just the fucking worst.
Damn. Come to think of it, I promised Ulala we would go cruising. That's a lie too. Hope she forgot about that.
I had to take advantage of this, so I dragged Makimura to every location in Sumaru City.
That short-haired broad is good. I didn't know there was such a cool girl here. I'll have her next. If I get back here alive, that is. There might be other women who've cursed me other than Ulala. Ugh, this is bad. Who knew the curse works?
Bro, how many women would want to kill you? What the fuck?
Say, she used to like flowers. Oh wait, was it Miyuki? Or was it Shizuka? I have to be nice to her, or else I'm dead. When she's mad, she's uncontrollable.
Jesus Christ, man, this dude... Wait, what happens if you bring him to Maya and Ulala's apartment?
I'm not surprised. I don't think you know this, but Ulala has invited me here several times. She said you did all this? I don't mind that. In fact, this uncleanliness only sets off your beauty. So it was a lie, huh? She can't say much about me then. She used you to make herself look better.
Bro, this guy needs to be shot. But tormenting Makimura isn't the only thing we unlocked. With access to Yumazaki, we also get some new rumors, the most important of which is that Mu Continent is secretly a casino, and one of the games will pay out so often you're more likely to win than you are to lose. Once you spread any of the rumors, its casino will be open for business, but you only get to pick one, and the correct answer is the slots. Blackjack is limited by our party size, and poker will require us to actually make decisions. Slots, meanwhile, just has us mash triangle while watching Netflix. And if you have an autofire controller, it's even easier. Turn on autofire, go to sleep, and when you wake up, congratulations, you're a millionaire. From here, we can trade our coins for prizes, and the options are actually pretty solid. Muscle drinks, which act as full HP heals that overheal you by 20%, disguise kits to repel lower level encounters, incense cards to boost the starting stats of personas you summon, as well as the Miracle Object, an accessory that boosts luck by 15. The Miracle Object is special too, because from what I can tell, costing 12,000 coins and selling for 66,000 yen, it's the highest selling prize they have. Miracle Objects are an 11-to-2 return on investment. So after I bought all the prizes I could want, I went back to the slots, let my totally legal PS1 run on fast forward for the equivalent of 3 days, then woke up to 7,619,735 coins. After money laundering with Miracle Objects, I cashed out with over 38 million yen.
I might be 30 grand deep, but if I give up now, the casino wins.
Now that we are the richest woman in Sumaru City, anything that requires money is no longer an issue. We will always have the strongest equipment, maxed out healing items from Satomi Tadashi, as many spell cards as we want from Time Castle, the works. And we can use our money for things other than items too. Head to the Kuzunoha and put 1,000 yen into the talking cat statue 100 times. Once you hit 100,000, we get told to come to the bathroom where we find a Nekomata. I'll try not to judge the Kuzunoha's secret bathroom cat girl, because she's actually a rumor monger, and she comes with some secret rumors. Firstly, Kaori in Rengidai will offer aromatherapy, which raises or lowers the odds a demon of a specific arcana will appear in random encounters. Second, Etheria in Aoba will offer beauty treatments, which increase the odds that talks will go well with certain demon personalities, though I never noticed the difference. And most importantly, Trish will now sell ice cream. Shit, I forgot to mention Trish. So Trish is, well,
It's dangerous outside the door. One mistake means a lifetime of pain. Don't be a tightwad. Recover!
a bit greedy. Trish is your primary source for healing inside dungeons. She does fully heal you, but the prices she charges to do so are ridiculous.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
That said, this is one rumor we can't afford to pass up, as it makes Trish fountains double as restaurants, allowing us to reapply food buffs if we run out in the middle of a dungeon, and our gambling means we can afford her crazy-ass prices.
Jesus Christ!
With the detour completed, we finally go to Fitness Club Gold. Baofu contemplates a solid backup plan and... Oh, we're already at the boss? Well, while we find the boss right away in the boxing room, the door is locked, so we need to find the key. The demons in gold hover around level 15, so since we're level 26, we're so much stronger than the game expects us to be that we're basically invincible. The only demon worth mentioning is Minotaur, as he's also into fat bitches and gives us 20 chariot tarot. Although the fact that half the demons I can talk to have made comments about fat females birthing children is starting to make me feel a bit sexually harassed. On the second floor, this staff member tells us that she gave the boxing room key to Mike, who's probably in the ladies' dressing room on the third floor. Speaking of, there is a Trish fountain on the third floor, so we can check out Trish's ice cream options. At least one of the ice creams she sells will provide a +7 to a specific stat. Nothing for luck yet, but this still makes Trish a good alternative to Gaten Sushi. Buy some if you need to, then head to the ladies' dressing room to find Mike hiding behind the lockers. He gives us the key in exchange for not ratting him out, but there's nothing stopping you from doing so anyway. Anyway, now we can head back to the boxing gym on the first floor and confront Ulala. We find her struggling against herself, and while the boys try to convince her that this lowlife isn't worth it, she just asks if Maya's there. When we say we're here for her, she attacks us instead. Turns out, we're the ones she called the Joker on. And to make matters worse, she now wields the Joker persona, and it's bigger than it was last time. This pulls us into combat with the first Joker we have to fight, Joker Ulala. Joker Ulala was one of the hardest fights in the game, since my dialogue choice has me start at half HP. She packs multiple high-power wind spells, along with the same old maid spell that Tatsuya Sudou used, and oh, she's dead.
That was easy.
Ulala confesses that she drunkenly called the Joker on us because of how jealous she was of us. She tries so hard, training for all kinds of things, but can never find a future, whereas everything seems easy for us. Meanwhile, Makimura pushes us to finish her off before she tries to kill us again. We tell him to eat shit, and Baofu points out that if something happened to Ulala, there'd be no evidence of his fraud, which pisses off Katsuya so much he's ready to throw hands.
Hold it, Suya. You're a cop. Please, let me handle this.
Ow! You're just gonna look the other way? You're a cop. Do your job.
You should be happy I'm not beating your ass myself.
Oh my god, just kiss.
Since the Joker is similar to a persona, Baofu says that maybe Igor could purify Ulala. And while he does remove the Joker, since the Joker is the Heart's shadow, it's up to Ulala to make sure it stays gone. Ulala vows to make it up to us somehow and rejoins the party. But before we can even leave the Velvet Room, Anna from Seven Sisters calls us and says her friend Noriko turned into a Joker, and that someone's been kidnapping Jokers and taking them to Club Zodiac, which I've also heard is run by the Taiwanese Mafia. Yeah, we are still so overleveled, nothing in this dungeon mattered. We get to the end in no time and find the Scar guy from earlier, Young Pao, leading the Taiwanese Mafia. Since we came in looking for Noriko, he hands her over, which has her immediately start a fight with us. And this fight blows. Unlike most bosses, Noriko acts as her team support unit. She can still deal respectable water and ice damage, but she's mostly here to buff the two Taiwanese Mafia goons with Tarukasha and Rakukasha, along with casting old...
Wanna play some old maid?
I'm gonna kill myself!
More than any other Joker in the game, Noriko loves using Old Maid. I'm convinced she's programmed to spam it. Demeter is extremely useful here, and not just because she's our strongest persona. Her immunity to ailments prevents Noriko from charming us with Mare and Karen, which would end the fight by itself. Focus down the Mafia first before they can do too much damage, and do not let your health get too low. If you give her an inch, Noriko will take a mile. But as long as she stops playing Old Maid long enough for us to take down the goons, she won't last long either. Before the fight, Young Pao mentioned that Baofu had killed several of his men in Taiwan, so Katsuya asks him if that's true, to which Baofu tells him to mind his own fucking business. Ulala then tells them to pull their heads out of their asses and get Noriko to the Velvet Room. Once she's purified, Katsuya promises not to arrest her for murder, and while Ulala thinks it's because Katsuya has a heart, Baofu says it's because the cops couldn't do shit in this situation. Speaking of the cops, Katsuya gets a call from someone calling himself Sneak. He says he has information on Tatsuya and to meet him in Aoba Park. So that's where we're headed next. As a dungeon, there's not much to talk about in Aoba Park. We can't get any tarot from the new demons here, and while the area is littered with colored traps that drain your HP, MP, or poison you, most of them can be avoided. Though if you talk to this guy outside of the park, you can spread a rumor that the flowers can talk. They all mention what Wanglong dragon they're compatible with based on when they were born. And towards the end, a purple flower asks what group they're compatible with. Based on the other flower's answers, you can figure out that the answer is the red dragon. For this, they will give you an Akashic ring, a crafting material we will also be using later. It was at this point I somehow got turned around and walked out of the dungeon like an idiot. Since I was already out here, I checked my desk at Kismet to see if I'd won anything from the sweepstakes. Since I made the Fantasy World magazine give out accessories, I won the Spirit Source. While most accessories provide a boost to a specific stat, sources usually give you a permanent increase to that stat when you level up. But instead of boosting a stat, the Spirit Source increases my MP by 5 for every level up. This is so huge that I rarely took it off. Sometimes you just gotta be lucky, I guess. Returning to Aoba Park, we meet up with Sneak, who informs us that the police and the Taiwanese mafia, along with the media and many corporations, are all in Tatsuya's pocket. Apparently, Tatsuya runs the New World Order, which takes its name from a real-world conspiracy theory about a secret totalitarian world shadow government. Which is not what I expected the big bad of this game to be. We're just fighting a real-world conspiracy theory today. Sure, why not? Katsuya says they could just bust in and confront Shimazu and Togashi, but Sneak says that if he did that, he'd only end up like his father. He says we need hard evidence before leaving behind pictures of two people from another group that can help us, a man and a woman. Ulala suggests spreading a rumor that one of them will appear at Parabellum, and this choice actually decides who is our next party member as well as what our next dungeon is. It also changes the boss of a future dungeon in like 9 hours, but that's more a choice of preference. However, both dungeons have a lot of pretty significant plot detail, so I decided to do both before committing to a timeline. But before we decide, some pretty significant rumors pop up after the first Aoba Park visit, which I call coin flip rumors. After spreading a coin flip rumor, one of two things will happen, and you'll usually want to reload until you get the result you want. First, the Izakaya Saraishi lady apparently made her dream come true. On a bad result, she writes a useless autobiography, but on a good result, she adds the combo plate to her menu, which gives us a plus 15 to strength. Second, we hear that the sales lady at Rosa Candida got lost at sea. The bad result is that she fucking dies, but the good result has her come back from Paris selling a best dresser for 200,000 yen, which has 55 defense and nullifies critical hits. Third, we hear that the barkeep at Parabellum is up to something suspicious. Bad result, he raises all of his prices by 50%, but adds 2 drinks that boost our luck. Good result, he sells the Dragoon for 220,000 yen, a power 110 handgun that also has a very high chance to inflict mute. Mind you, our current gun was power 48. And finally, the bathroom Nekomata says that Trish has reformed her greedy ways. The bad result actually has this be true, seeing her cut her ice cream prices in half. On a good result, she actually doubles her prices, but adds 2 new options, the Lucky Ice Cream and North Light Vanilla, the latter of which boosts our luck by 15 for 240,000 yen. These and the Parabellum drinks we didn't take are the only food items that boost luck, and the North Light Vanilla blows the drinks out of the water. All of these items are expensive as hell, but considering I am the richest woman in Sumaru, I bought both the armor and the gun and was eating North Light Vanillas for the rest of the game. But that's not even the best new rumor, and this one's not even a coin flip. The best one is about the only intersex character in the Persona series to my knowledge, the Sumaru Genie. By spreading a rumor that she's picked up Wanglong fortune-telling, she can bestow upon us the blessings of the dragons of Wanglong. Now, half of these fortunes suck ass. The Black Dragon halves EXP gained from battles, but doubles money gained, which, in case you missed it, richest woman in Sumaru. The Red Dragon increases the odds of Persona mutation, a mechanic we can't even touch, and the Silver Dragon makes it so conversations end after 4 of the same result instead of 3, which is only useful for grinding Fool Tarot, something I'll talk about in a bit. However, the rest of the fortunes kick ass. The yellow dragon increases luck, which boosts critical rate and odds of healing from ailments, and while I never used it, it's definitely still useful. The light dragon doubles EXP, but halves money gained from battles, which again, richest woman in Sumaru. But the blue dragon is what we're here for. The blue dragon reverses the personalities of all demons. Yes, this means what you think it means. The Sumaru Genie has given us the ability to fucking talk to people! This effectively gives us a second talk option, as most demons will react differently if we're blue. For example, while there was nothing for us in Aoba Park, suddenly Parika, Faust, and Hell will give us tarot. And since we can fight old demons at Kasagayama High, the Sumaru Genie literally doubles our available arcana. Specifically, we now have access to Temperance, Death, the Magician, the Devil, and the Moon. So we now finally have options. Now that we're blue, we finally spread the rumor about our chosen person. The media jumps on the rumor that someone with news on the Joker case will be at Parabellum, but having seen that coming, Baofu and Ulala are there to act as a distraction, while Tatsuya and I are outside to catch them first. Baofu and Ulala share a conversation about living life with purpose, while Tatsuya and Maya talk about whether they like who they are and where their lives have led. It's a really sweet moment on both sides. You get to see what the cast is struggling with. But once our client shows up, we head them off while Baofu and Ulala keep the press distracted inside.
Yeah? You think you're so smart. Well, mister, you've got another thing coming. Well, you can just keep your damn secrets. You know, the whole world doesn't revolve around you.
Those are some mad acting skills you got. You're too damn needy. That's why men always run away from you, you cross-dressing bitch.
What? What did you just say?
Damn, girl, watch that shit. You still drunk?
I see how it is. I guess you want some more, huh?
No, Amano said!
Cutting away from Ulala beating Baofu's ass, we jump to Katsuya and I at the headquarters of the Nanjo conglomerate, with a still upset Ulala and very bruised Baofu joining a bit later. And what makes this even funnier is if we talk to Baofu, we find out that Maya set him up. She knew Ulala would react like that. What the fuck? Anyway, meet Kei Nanjo and Eriko Kirishima, or as the English translation calls them, Nate Nanjo and Ellen Kirishima. See, while this game did not get Americanized like 4Kids Yu-Gi-Oh!, Persona 1 did, with most of the characters getting whitewashed and everyone's names getting changed. Kei Nanjo became Nate, Eriko Kirishima became Ellen, the main town of Mikage-cho became Lunavale, and main antagonist Takahisa Kandori became Guido fucking Sardinia. But this created a problem with Eternal Punishment. These characters had names, English audiences might know them. So what do you do when you don't want to Americanize the cast again? Well, they ended up playing halvesies with it, swapping back to everyone's last names but keeping the first names. Thus, Nate Nanjo, Ellen Kirishima, and Guido Kandori. So Ellen mentions how she was investigating the sudden rise in Wang Long, and after hearing our stories, is confident that it's connected to the New World Order. The Joker craze likely ties in as well, potentially being used to spread rumors around. Nanjo figures that the NWO is creating Jokers and manipulating fortunes, so more people call the Joker, which creates more Jokers. He plans to investigate a nearby science lab where kidnapped Jokers are being taken, while Ellie plans to investigate Wang Long Chizuru, who's filming a TV show at Sumaru TV. As for what timeline we're doing first, I went with Nanjo to the science lab. In order to get to the science lab, we have to navigate a series of maze-like sewer tunnels. To get through effectively, 2 people would have to stay behind to control the water flow, and rather than any of us having to bite that bullet, returning Persona 1 cast members Reiji and Mari show up to help. Each tunnel puts you on a 10-minute timer, so you want to be quick when you're moving through here. Though there are some decent items in the B-side tunnels if you're feeling confident. As for new demons, we don't really get anything while Blue Dragon is active, though once it wears off, Kanaloa gives us even more fucking tower cards.
Is this some kind of twisted joke?
At least this one isn't into fat bitches. But after 3 tunnels, we arrive at the back entrance of the science lab and find it guarded by 2 NWO soldiers. We need to be quiet so we don't raise any alarms, so Ulala decides to use her sexy looks to charm our way in. To which Baofu helpfully jumps in to knock them out in order to make it easier for her. Katsuya shows her that we can use her sexiness next time. This is a serious game, guys, I promise. Once we're inside, we find that Eikichi kid held prisoner by some guards. Turns out he came in to save Sugimoto, that other Cast High kid who wanted revenge on him. The guards prepare to toss him to the scientists, so we jump in to save him, which pulls us into a fight against 2 red berets, which is our first fight against NWO enemies. NWO soldiers use almost entirely shot element attacks, so any personas that mitigate shot will be a big help. Alternatively, you can be so overleveled that you two-shot them. Once we take out the guards, Ulala asks Eikichi what he's even doing here, considering Sugimoto called the Joker on him in the first place. But even though Sugimoto caused him a heap of trouble, he's still Cass High. And Eikichi's the leader of Cass High. He can't just abandon him, which is... God, I've known Eikichi for 2 seconds, and I already love him. I love characters who will stick their neck out for their crew, even when that crew screws them over. When do we get a game where Eikichi's the main character? Regardless, Nanjo hacks our way in, and we agree to let Eikichi stick around since he's kind of involved. With one more in tow, we head into the science lab. Thankfully, they give us a velvet room and a Trish fountain, so
Why you selling ice cream in Kandori's evil science lab?
Hey, evil scientists take food breaks. And I heard the pay Kandori provides is surprisingly high. Which means my profits are surprisingly higher!
Get your ice cream buffs, then head downstairs to find a room full of holding cells for all the kidnapped Jokers. Nanjo realizes these people are demonized, taken over by their personas. Most also have electrodes on their necks like they're being experimented on. Once Eikichi confirms that Sugimoto isn't here though, Nanjo tells him to get these people into the trailer in the garage so he can try and get them healed once we escape. As for the dungeon itself, you can grab Hermit Tarot from Kun Anun and Chariot from Tyrannus, as well as Magician from Rasputin if you still have Blue Dragon. And you'll have plenty of time to get tarot from them because this area blows. I spent over 2 hours here trying to figure out where the hell to go. Different switches change whether doors are open or closed, and it's not easy to figure out what goes where. Take your time and don't be afraid to use the map screen. Eventually, you'll find your way to the laboratory where Baofu prepares to hack into their database.
I'm going in.
Baofu discovers that the New World Order is researching how to separate the Joker from its user via spinal nerve transplants, with Guido researching how to artificially create persona users. I sure hope that doesn't get anybody killed on October 4th, 2009. And in the other room, we see a giant machine labeled Joker filled with vials of Kagure. Sadly, we don't have much time to investigate, as Kandori and the NWO walk in with Eikichi at gunpoint. Guido reveals the New World Order used rumors to resurrect him, and threatens to kill Eikichi if we don't give back the data we stole. Nanjo agrees, so Baofu slides over his laptop.
Thank you, Nanjo. I knew I could count on you to be stupid enough to fall for that.
Sub? What the hell are you doing here? Wait, that's actually his name?
Forget my name. Get out of here, now!
So tell me, Scribe, you plan on undoing the Tatsuya scenario?
Thought about it. Could be a sub-goal, 16,000 in 2 months. Though, could we still call it the Tatsuya scenario?
Call it the sub-story.
Ooh, that's good. Once we escape, we find Eikichi loading patients into the truck when suddenly the door is kicked open by some giant monster, flanked by 2 NWO soldiers.
Sugimoto? Is that you?
With his Kagure taken away, Sugimoto has been turned into an abomination, and we're forced to fight the very boy we came here to save. And this fight is surprisingly tough, mostly due to the assload of health everyone has. Sugimoto has 2800 HP, and the Red Berets he's with have a respectable 1050. Thankfully, since they're the same enemy, AoE spells like Maha Agion will hit both of them. But it's still gonna take a few shots to knock them down, and that's kind of an issue considering how hard they hit. The Red Berets mostly use shot attacks, but can put you to sleep with their tranquilizers. Meanwhile, Sugimoto has Poisonous Scratch, Tackle, along with Blizzard Breath for ice damage. He also has Roar, a 20% almighty element chance to inflict fury, which is just Berserk from Final Fantasy. Nobody here does much damage on their own, but they do a lot of damage combined, and all the status effects aren't doing us any favors either. I recommend focusing the Red Berets first, since we can take them out simultaneously and they do more damage than Sugimoto. After around a dozen attempts, we finally take them down, and after that, the only way we can lose is if Sugimoto hits us with Fury. Using a new persona, Satan Taisei, to hit his fire weakness, we're able to put Sugimoto out of his misery. Eikichi initially freaks out on us thinking we killed Sugimoto, but Ulala gently points out that Nanjo left him alive. And sure enough, Sugimoto is still breathing. Eikichi apologizes, and Baofu reveals that he popped the laptop's hard drive before he tossed it, so we still have the data.
Meanwhile, in parallel universe where life is reality TV.
Arriving at the TV station with Ellie, we meet up with Brown along with our friend Yukino, both of whom are also Persona 1 alumni. Having heard what's going on from Ellie, they offer to help however they can, letting us know that Chizuru's in her dressing room. Brown mentions that Chizuru's fortune-telling show is a setup, with Yukino adding how every magazine started doing articles on Wang Long around the same time. For whatever reason, the New World Order wants Wang Long to be popular, and Ulala notices a suspicious black cat that's just watching us. Either way, Chizuru's in the TV station, so we go in only to find the hardest banger the game's hit us with so far. After you're done jamming, make your way to the second floor. Aside from Chizuru's dressing room, we can stop by dressing room 1 to find the teen idol group Muses preparing for a broadcast, along with their creepy producer, Ginji Sasaki. One of them is a foreign girl, Lisa Silverman, who apparently has a thing for Sub and has kind of been worried about him lately. Hearing this, Tatsuya jumps the gun big time, worrying about the commotion if his brother married a music star, potential communication issues due to Lisa being foreign, what engagement presents would be acceptable. Like, dude, calm down, I don't think she said 2 words to him. Anyway, Chizuru should be in dressing room 3, but we find it suspiciously empty, barring the cat Ulala saw in the lobby. It meows, and suddenly we're warped into a monochromatic version of the TV station. Ellie realizes that Chizuru's trapped us in a Kimontonku formation. Essentially, we're in the reverse side of reality, and can only escape if we pass through 8 talismans in the right order.
Fantastic! This is my first time experiencing this too.
Did I miss what's fantastic about being trapped in a demi-plane?
Oh, calm down. These things are easy. We just need to go through the 8 gates in numbered order. They should be written on each gate's talisman in Bagua letters. Like this.
How did you speak in symbols?
At least someone's enjoying herself. But it seems like this will be as easy as going in numerical order. But while Studio 1 is the first door as we find Chizuru's cat taunting us, we soon find that Studio 2 is not. Confused, Ellie suggests asking Brown for help, so after we scare the shit out of him by speaking through a mirror, he says that he saw the number 2 character over the door of Studio 5. 5 is 2 and 2 is 5. And while the gang is apparently too stupid to figure it out, Ellie actually already explained it. This is the reverse side of reality, so our perception is mirrored. While the characters for 1, 3, 6, and 8 don't change, 2 becomes 5, 4 becomes 7, and vice versa. Thus, the correct order is 1, 5, 3, 7, 2, 6, 4, 8. You do still have to talk to Brown the first time though. Ellie literally won't go into Studio 5 before you do. This is gonna take a lot of elevator rides, since the studios are stacked in linear order, so take your time and don't be afraid to come back down to the second floor to heal and reapply food buffs at the Trish fountain.
Why are you selling ice cream in Wanglong Chizuru's demi-plane?
She was surprisingly open to the idea. And hey, people trapped in demi-planes gotta eat too. Do you know how well desperation pays? I'm making a killing.
Use the capitalism fairy to heal when you need to, then head to Studio 5 on the 4th floor. Once we reach Studio 3, we don't find any trace of the cat, but we do find the creepiest creature Atlas has ever created.
What the hell is even that?
Baofu asks who the hell this guy is, and Ellie explains that it's a stalker that broke into her apartment while she wasn't home. She fought him off with her persona, but it seems like he didn't learn his lesson, so...
You pathetic weasel, I'm gonna kick your... Come on!
Alrighty then, let's kick his ass, come on! The Stalker is barely a threat. He can inflict fury and does do decent dark and sword damage, but that's it. His only decent attack is Serenade of Madness, which is medium almighty with a 100% chance to inflict fury on Ellie specifically, which seems reasonable. Speaking of, Atlas tried to program this guy to focus on Ellie with his single target attacks, as he always has lines about how much he loves her when he uses them. But somehow, he actually does all of this with Baofu instead. Either way, with only 1200 HP, he won't be loving anybody for very long.
That feels good.
With the Stalker knocked out and Ellie safe, Tatsuya says we can just pick him up later and move on. But it was here when I actually managed to form a contract with a demon. And if you thought that was impossible, so did I. When I ran into this Gandharva, he started a conversation with me, which can happen randomly at the start of a battle. When this happens, the demon asks you a random question, and I got a happy result. While Maya's interview will always make him angry, angry results often make the demon ask a follow-up question, which can also make them happy. Get lucky enough to get 3 happy results, and Maya can form a contract, something she could never do otherwise. Sadly, I only realized this when writing this script, and while it happening with Gandharva wouldn't have done anything for me, if this would have happened with anyone in the sexual harassment squad, I could have farmed them for free tarot, which would have made the run about 20 times easier. Don't you fucking love that? Anyway, our next studio is number 7, where, true to his name, we encounter Eriko's stalker once again, who tries to rig a light fixture to fall on her. Or maybe he was aiming for Baofu. Anyway, while the Stalker is a bit stronger this time, now having a chance to confuse you rather than inflict fury, that's really it. None of his stats change, so this fight is basically 2 hits longer than the last one.
Now, go! Oh, yeah!
This time, Tatsuya decides to cuff the Stalker to a wall to keep him there until we're done. 2 studios later, it did not keep him there until we were done. On the plus side, this fight at least makes some changes. He gets another 100 HP, and his kit is actually competent for once. He keeps Serenade of Madness, but picks up Drive of a medium group target Almighty, upgrades his Dark and Sword attacks, and also has Violent Rage for Havoc damage. His AI bug also changes slightly, now having him focus Baofu and Tatsuya. But as long as you're not weak to any elements he has access to, this is the same fight as before. After we break his fucking neck, we can finish the last couple studios. Ellie mentions how the Stalker mentioned another man she supposedly liked, and upon Ulala's questioning, she reveals that man to be Naoya, the main protagonist from Persona 1. They promise to meet again once they realize their dreams, with her becoming a model like she told him she wanted. Though how the Stalker knew about him is another story. Either way, what's important is getting out of here, so we head to Studio 8 on the 6th floor. Inside, we see what appears to be Naoya, asking Ellie if she's fulfilled her dreams. At first, she's happy to say yes, but when Tatsuya and Baofu hold her back, Naoya makes jabs at her fake smile, pulling at her insecurities about her fascination with the occult. And then Tatsuya fucking shoots him.
Did you just shoot an unarmed man?
Was he or was he not an illusion created by Chizuru?
Oh, so you shot a cat then. I see.
Chizuru's cat is a fairly simple fight. It has multiple different physical options, all of which cause status ailments, as well as fire breath. However, it repels all magic damage, though it is 2 times weak to physical. This essentially makes it a slightly more powerful version of Sudou's Hellhound. It can hit pretty hard, but as long as you keep your health topped off, you should have no issues laying this kitty down for a nap. Cutting to an interview with Wanglong Chizuru in the Muses, Chizuru immediately senses we've escaped. When asked to do a fortune reading about the Joker situation, she declares that Joker is on the rise, and even more people would turn into Jokers. And sure enough, once we walk out of the true Studio 8, we hear that Junko Kurosu, Jun's mother, suddenly turned into a Joker, so we rush to Studio 1 to stop her.
Sub, what are you doing here?
Stand back, Ginko.
What did you just call me?
Chizuru commands the Joker Junko to attack Sub while she deals with us herself. Fortunately, she's full of shit, and it's not actually her. While this Chizuru has the same stats as the one we'll fight later, it only has 1 health. The real fight is against the 4 Shikigami she summons as backup, so either throw out an all-target attack to hit everyone, or just shoot her in the face. If you don't, she can apply illusion with Fata Morgana, or hit you with Fiendish Card for a 100% guaranteed fury chance. But with their master gone, the Shikigami aren't that threatening either. If you can identify which one is using earth spells, kill it first, then swap to Maha Magnus with Demeter to kill the rest. You will have to heal a lot, but there's nothing stopping you from whittling them down over time. Stay on top of it, and this should be easy. With the fight over, Katsuya tries to figure out where Sub is, but he just told Lisa to make sure Junko gets to the Velvet Room. She pleads with us to save Sub, so after we make sure Junko is cured, we return in both timelines to the Nanjo group's home base, where we find the place raided as the New World Order attacked us while we were away. Realizing this place isn't safe, we retreat to Baofu's lair. The entire city is in a stir over Wang Long and the Joker rumors, as Baofu explains what Ellie found on the Nanjo route, and vice versa. Sadly, while all of this is a damn good start, none of it gets us any closer to Tatsuya. However, we hear on the radio that they're doing a seminar on Wang Long at Smile Hirasaka, also known as Smile Mall, so it looks like that's where we're headed next. But before that, I discovered something new and something extremely useful. Allow me to introduce you to Salam Ladin. Once you unlock Nanjo or Eriko, a rumor about a map collecting billionaire will appear in the room he chose Ebony Bar. Spread it for Salam to show up the next time you go there. Salam will ask you to make maps of dungeons for him, and this requires you to fully map out the area he asks for. And I do mean fully. You must come within one tile of every space in the dungeon for it to count for Salam's maps, which is a pain in the ass. These quests will double if not triple your time spent in any dungeon. Why are we enduring such a frustrating side quest? It's because this is the final piece of my game-breaking master plan. But to get those rewards, we need to make Salam a map, so we head off to Smile Hirasaka. Smile Mall has no new demons in it that we can interview, Blue Dragon or not. In fact, it has very little new at all. Unless you're mapping the place out, it's basically a straight shot to the seminar room on the 4th floor. If you are mapping it out, Smile Hirasaka is a 4-floor megaplex plus basement, crawling with demons that are now finally strong enough to pose a challenge. Make sure you have plenty of healing items if you're going for maps. You will be taking some pretty heavy hits here. But after an hour of mapping a dungeon that could have taken me 5 minutes, the map of Smile Mall is completed, and I decided to collect my reward now. For completing a map, Salam will give you various cards to use on personas. Tarot for summoning, skill cards for spells, incense cards for stats, the works. For Smile Mall, we get 50 tarot of 5 random arcana, 100 free tarot, 2 copies of every status curing spell in the game, as well as recarm, as well as a rare card. Rare cards are skill cards for some of the strongest spells in the game, and while the card you get is random, you can just say before handing him the map to get the card you want. And this is the final piece of the puzzle. Because among the options for rare cards, which include heavy damage spells of every element, Diarahin for full heals, Tetrakarn and Makarakarn to repel physical and magical attacks, there is also the Annihilation card. And the Annihilation card gives us Megidolon.
Legalize nuclear bombs.
Megidolon 2 Ends is one of the most powerful spells in the entire game. At 120 power all-target almighty, very few spells even come close to it. The only non-fusion spells that do are Nova Scyther at power 152 single-target nuclear, Nuclear Missile at power 128 all-target nuclear, and Asteroid Bomb at power 196 almighty. And all of them aren't useful to us for one reason or another. Nova Scyther is exclusive to Scribe, Asteroid Bomb is locked behind Persona Mutation, and the earliest we could get Nuclear Missile is level 80. Plus, Nuclear is a much more common resistance than Almighty. Megidolon is the best spell in the game, and one we should not have access to this early. But we're about to make that so much worse. Salam might have only given us 1 copy of Megidolon, but Time Castle duplicates spell cards. If we give the Time Count a spell or incense card, you'll lose the card, but he will now sell them to you. Of course, Megidolon costs a whopping 999,000 yen, but remember, richest woman in Sumaru. Salam gives me rare cards, which lets me buy the game's strongest spells from Time Castle, which I can only afford because Mew Continent gives me infinite money. This is my game break. Using nothing but the game's own mechanics, every persona now gets Megidolon and a plus 10 to 1 stat for the rest of the game. We immediately head to the Velvet Room to abuse this. Looking over my options, I wanted to summon Abe no Saime due to his innate repel to all magic elements, but he was a bit too high level for me, and we'll get a persona with those affinities later anyway. But that's when I found my new favorite persona, the best persona for the run, though I didn't know it at the time. With 152 star cards, I summoned the one who shaped the first humans alongside Odin himself and gave man the gift of reason. Some believe him to be Odin's brother, others say an aspect of Odin himself. But to us, his name is Heinir. Heinir is a respectable mixed attacker, having access to solid wind and sword attacks along with repelling shot and thrown elements. With a plus 10 to his technical, I knew he'd hit pretty hard with Megidolan, but that's not why he's the best persona. That would be revealed to me later. For now though, we head back to Smile Mall, only to find that the seminar started while we were off becoming God. Katsuya suggests that we might be able to find out what's going on if we can find an air duct and sneak inside, so now we just have to find. Aang decides the best way to get everyone out of the mall is to start a fire in the bathroom, before abandoning Eikichi with the cleaning lady to go find the transmitter. Okay, I'm getting sick of the deja vu. Well, at least it showed us the bathroom, so we head to the women's room, double check to make sure there's no girls inside, then bring the guys in to sneak into the seminar through the vents. Turns out it's being held by that Ginji Sasaki creep we saw on the Ellie route, looking a bit less sane. He talks about how people live wandering aimlessly, begrudging others because they can do nothing else, and how Wang Long will save them by touching the dragon statue Chizuru gave him. Najo notes that it's the same as the machine they saw in the lab, with vials of Kagare on both sides. But since there's no way we could do anything without the crowd being at risk, we needed to clear the room. So just like in the Deja Vu run, we start a fire in the bathroom to set off the fire alarm, which causes everyone else to clear out, leaving us free to confront Sasaki. He tries to defend himself by saying he was only trying to get rid of everyone's Kagare, but the guys aren't buying it, so they send us in to do some convincing, which is apparently code for destroy the Kagare vials. Shocker, this immediately backfires, as the Kagare turns Sasaki into a Joker on the spot, giving him a gargantuan Joker persona. Turns out the extracted Kagare is Joker, gaining power with everyone's sin. And this leads us into the most BS fight so far. Sasaki comes in with 4 Shoggoth, who are here to do one thing.
Thought about killing myself!
The Shoggoth have self-explosion to kill themselves and deal medium non-elemental damage to all targets, friend or foe, as well as possession, which also kills them, but deals medium non-elemental to one target with a 50% possession chance. Possessed units will either act normally or use a skill known by the enemy that possessed them. And since the Shoggoth are built to kill themselves, that means we might kill ourselves. Buy 99 lucky bags from Satomi Tadashi to cure possession before you even attempt this fight. We cannot afford to be possessed. Of course, since he only has 4 of these guys, you might think that this problem solves itself. Well, guess what? Sasaki has Samurakarm.
This is the greatest!
Also, he's got the Joker, so...
Wanna play some Old Maid?
Old Maid is more dangerous than it's ever been. With most of the enemies just being suicide bombers, we don't have time to spare losing turns. Especially not with Sasaki reviving them. Thankfully, nobody here is resistant to Almighty, so I recommend nuking them from orbit with Megidolan. When he inevitably uses Old Maid, swap to a persona that resists as many moves as possible. Sasaki has access to Earth, Fire, and Havoc spells, and the Shoggoth have Dark attacks. With that in mind, I used Satan Taisei as he's immune to fire and resistant to dark. This fight is definitely a pain in the ass, but as long as you play defensively, you'll whittle him down with time. At the end of the day, we win this fight with the words of a wise woman. If you can't push it, pull it. If you can't pull it, Megidolan. Katsuya realizes Sasaki was likely under the effects of a mind control spell, so questioning him would be pointless. But since they're doing these seminars all across town, going after them one at a time would get us nowhere. So Nanjo suggests exposing the NWO publicly, calling up Ellie and telling them to leak everything they know to a trustworthy source. At the same time, Katsuya gets a call from Sneak, who says that he has one thing left to say before he turns himself over to Katsuya. And Katsuya intends to find out whether or not he's really trustworthy. Baofu initially says he's not going to come, so Katsuya reminds him that nobody fucking asked. After which, Ulala tells Baofu to stop being a tsundere piece of shit and to go help his friend before she kicks his ass. Which is enough to convince him, so now I guess we know what Baofu responds well to. Heading back to Aoba Park, the layout is the same, but the demons have upgraded. with one Guido now giving us access to Fortune Tarot with a standard interview. We have to get from the park's south entrance to the north side concert hall, where Tatsuya went to meet up with Sneak, which is actually a fairly short walk. Once we get there, we cut to the stage to find out that Sneak is actually Chief Togashi. He explains that the NWO worship a godlike figure called Gozen and are using curses from a mummified ancient shogun to destroy the world and create a utopia. They view this world as sin and intend to use jokers to eradicate sin through punishment, creating so much kegare that the dragons of Wanglong will intervene, causing untold natural disasters and even causing the magnetic poles to shift. Tatsuya remarks that this would destroy them too, but Togashi says they plan to use an ancient spaceship called Torifune, which they made real via rumors, to elevate Sumaru City into the sky, sparing it from the Earth's destruction. With their plans so far along, there is no other option but to stop Tatsuya Sudou and Gozen. At which point, Captain Shimazu shows up. He claims that Togashi protected Tatsuya Sudou in the past, which is what resulted in Tatsuya's father being disgraced and Sudou going free. Togashi admits to this, but says he revealed their plans to someone not under Tatsuya's influence, so they can't hide anything anymore. But Shimazu says that was their intent, since a rumor won't spread if it's too unrealistic. With Togashi's confession and Nanjo's press leaks, now it's believable enough to become a rumor, and that makes it real. At which point, Shimazu shoots and kills Togashi. But before he can do the same to Tatsuya, we show up to save the day. Shimazu might have brought backup, but 5v1 is just the way I like it. Shimazu's backup appearing wasn't just for show either. He's aided by 4 soldiers from the Special Assault Team. But this is why Heinir is the best persona, because he takes advantage of the NWO's biggest weakness. Shimazu doesn't have a single skill that isn't shot element, and the only non-shot skills the SAT have is Hypnotic Wave, which just puts us to sleep. And this isn't a one-time thing. Every NWO enemy in the game is almost entirely shot-based, and Heinir repels shot element, so we can just spam Megidolan with almost no resistance. Heinir isn't the best persona in the game because he has some crazy unique attack or because he can make himself immortal. Heinir is the best persona in the game because Repel Shot and Megidolan let him dismantle the shadow government like it's his fucking job.
Let me speak to the people, Maya. Let me speak.
No one's stopping you.
Togashi dies before he can reveal the location of the NWO's secret lair. And while Katsuya's prepared for the I told you so from Baofu, he says now isn't the time. Togashi paid his dues and he respects him for it. So, we head back to Baofu's lair to try to figure out Tatsuya's next move. But before that, I have to show some respect too. Since Heinir doesn't have any modern art in SMT or Persona games, I had one made. The still image of Heinir you just saw was drawn by the lovely Leyline Fount, and when I sent them references, I asked for something that invoked the relative idea of Eternal Punishment's design, but to get creative with it. And while they did give me a sketch of that concept, hearing me say Heinir repels guns and is related to Odin, they had the idea for a Superman-like design mixed with a bit of the modern design for Odin. Thus, with a dash of Featherman, Heinir was born. Super big thanks to Leyline Fount. They gave life to one of my new favorite personas. Back at Baofu's lair, he picks up Tatsuya on one of his wiretaps talking to Young Pao. Yeah, remember the Taiwanese mafia? It seems like Tatsuya negotiated Young Pao's help by threatening his brother, and Young Pao is cashing out. So they agree to meet at the abandoned factory in Conan for Young Pao to collect his money and split. Baofu is eager to finally get his chance at both of them. According to him, they'll never see us coming. Baofu says he's gotta go scout the place and leaves. Meanwhile, if we talk to Tatsuya, we hear him ask Nanjo to look in on Baofu's past. Once we leave the lair, the game cuts to the New World Order holding a conference, where we see a pale-faced man, General Sugawara, letting Tatsuya know that the X-1 robot is ready. Though they do share some concern about the paradox and wonder about the ideas coming from Gozen, but Tatsuya says that Gozen's will is absolute. And while that seems to be enough for most people, Guido is wondering who's truly the most sinful. Regardless, pick up a blank map from Salam, then head to the abandoned factory. Staking out the Tian Taolin, they're suddenly stormed by the NWO along with the X-1 we heard about. Young Pao's men are no match for them, but once he bails, the NWO turns their guns on us. Turns out they knew they were bugged, and Tatsuya planned to kill us both. Baofu darts off to go confront his nemesis, and we have to find him before he gets himself killed. In terms of tarot, this place is next to worthless. Normal interviews give us lovers and strength from Satyrus and Python, a bad and a worst arcana. But worse than a tarot is this area's layout. This map is ass. Not only is it fairly maze-like, we have reversible conveyor belts that we need to traverse both sides of to complete the map, all to find the password in order to access the plant where Young Pao is. Mapping this area will take a while, especially with the reversing conveyor belts, but with strong personas like Heinir, it's far from impossible. By the time you get to the door of Plant 2, you should be finishing up the map, so heal up, then head on in to save Baofu. Even though Young Pao says he's planning to kill Tatsuya, Baofu can't let him go, resulting in a standoff. Despite bringing coins to a gunfight, somehow Baofu wins, and taking one of his guns, he prepares to take revenge for what Young Pao did 5 years ago. When suddenly, Tatsuya bursts in and tells Kaoru Saga to stop. Turns out, Baofu's real name is Kaoru Saga, and he used to be a prosecutor for Sumaru's Special Investigations Unit. 5 years ago, a prosecutor and his secretary died abroad in Taiwan. The incident was covered up so no one knew what happened, or that the prosecutors survived. Tatsuya claims that Baofu knew Tatsuya found the tap, and that he used them to stall the NWO so that he could get in and kill Young Pao. Baofu responds by pointing the gun at us and asking what Tatsuya's gonna do about it. And then he fires at the NWO soldier behind us. And behind them is the X1 mech, which... why do I feel like I've fought them before, and why am I afraid? If I had to guess, it's because this thing is no joke. The X-Series robots are weak to electric, immune to light, dark, and all elements, and resist everything else. This makes it obscenely tanky, and while it does largely focus on shot element like the rest of the NWO, it has a secret weapon, Muramasa Copy. Muramasa Copy deals sword damage and seals your persona for 3 turns. While sealed, it's like you didn't have a persona at all. You can't cast spells, and all of your affinities reset to neutral, so not even Heinir can stop the X-Series guns anymore. That said, while Muramasa Copy does seal our affinities, it doesn't last forever. Eventually, it will give us a turn, and then Heinir repels all of its moves again. Also, while Megidolan is resisted, Heinir also learns Yonga, so he's still the go-to here. As threatening as it is, there is only one of them, so you should be able to finish this fight without too much hassle. With the X1 destroyed, we turn around to find that it got a shot on Young Pao. Dying, he tells us that Tatsuya probably fled to the Undersea Ruins aboard his ship to release the Blue Dragon of Wang Long, and tells Baofu to let Tatsuya know that he'll be waiting for him in hell. Baofu asks how Tatsuya knew he wouldn't shoot him, to which Tatsuya says it's not his style, so he knew he wouldn't, which, oh my god, just kiss. The map of the factory nabs us Dear Vahin as our rare card, along with 150 free tarot, 10 of every stat incense, and 2 spell cards for every buff spell. Hand them off to the time count, then summon personas to cover every buff. Salam does ask for a map of the cruise ship, but the dungeon is a pain in the ass and the reward's kind of lame. 2 rare cards, 80 tarot of 6 random arcana, 2 spell cards for every element's heavy single target spell, and 2 of Diorama. You should have better stuff already, but grab it if you want to, then head to Narumi's yacht harbor. Nanjo's bodyguard, Matsuoka, informs us that the government is just now realizing they've been infiltrated by the New World Order, and is struggling to get a grasp on things. He tries to convince Nanjo not to go with us for the sake of the Nanjo conglomerate, but he says he needs to see this through with his own eyes. Meanwhile, we see Chizuru asking Guido a personal question.
Why would someone as great as you be controlled by one such as Tatsuya? You should be leading us, not that stubborn old fool.
Do you despise him because you're a woman?
Bitch, that's a whole new sentence. What the fuck are you on about?
As Guido recovers from his Reddit moment, they hear Scribe busting into the ship, so they board a submarine and escape. Once we arrive, we hear Sub raising hell inside, so we rush in to try and regroup with him along the way. The hardest part about this area is mapping it. Ideally, we could just run downstairs and be done, but mapping it has you go up and down elevators and run through every single maze-like hallway. Thankfully, normal interviews get us Fortune and World Tarot from Orthus and Leviathan, so it's not all bad. Anyway, here's a compilation of Heinir obliterating the New World Order.
I'm not a big fan of the government. 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 Not a big fan. Not a big fan of the government. I'm not a big fan of the government. Not a big fan of the government. Not a big fan of the government. Not a big fan of the government.
After you systematically murder every NWO stooge on the ship, you'll come to a set of doors on the second floor, with a guard blocking the other exit. You'll get the boss fight warning, but you won't have completed the map yet. Don't worry, that's normal. Walk outside and watch as the Goonos give their lives so Tatsuya can escape his obligation. Tatsuya, no matter how corrupt you are, you can't forget to like and subscribe.
Have you been waiting this entire time to make that joke?
Don't act like you didn't know I would. As the gang rushes in to back Sub up, Tatsuya does the obligatory "join me" speech, so we tell him to pound sand, and he leaves us with several X-series robots for us to deal with. Be careful with these ones, Maya. The Longinus Nazis conceal your persona.
The huh?
Wait, are they not? Oh, that's a nice change at least. This fight consists of 3 of the same X1 robots we fought earlier, with the addition that they now self-destruct once they're low on HP. Good news, aside from that, they're the same as the last fight. Bad news, they're the same as the last fight. Buff with Makakaja if you have the time, then swap to Heinir to take advantage of the occasional repel. If you get sealed, defend until you recover, spare muscle drinks if you need to heal, and hope for the best. They don't use Muramasa copy every turn, so when you can, sneak in some Ziongas with Heinir to hurry them along. This fight is annoying, but far from impossible, especially if they do the job for you.
I won!
Rather than accepting our help, Sub seems pissed that we're here at all and darts off before we can ask any more. This removes the other guard blocking our path, which will lead us to the last parts of the dungeon. If you took the map quest, this is when you should be finishing it off. As we head inside, Tatsuya starts trying to sink the ship, so Sub commandeers an X-Series robot and tells us to use the submarine to escape. Katsuya, meanwhile, shouts that Sub only has a learner's permit, so he can't drive that thing, it's dangerous. Katsuya is a gem in this game, dude. He's so protective of his brother that it makes him stupid. So we obviously ignore Sub telling us to stay out of this, tailing him to the Undersea Ruins. We surface to find that he trashed both the X-Series he used to get here, as well as the submarine Guido and Chizuru used, so our Sub is the only way out. As for the dungeon itself, I heard a lot of people say they find this area more frustrating than the ship, but I finished it in half the time. Though that may have been because I didn't have to map this area. The front path to the Room of Seal, where the boss is blocked by like a dozen pitfalls, so we have to take the long way around. I recommend saving frequently, as you will fall into a pitfall and lose progress at least once, and the enemies here are strong enough that I actually died quite a few times. If we don't have Heinir active, the NWO actually deals solid damage, and Barbados can hit us just as hard with triple down. But since that's a shot element attack, Barbados is basically an unofficial member of the government, and you know what that means.
It's so sad Steve Jobs died with you.
Who the hell is Steve Jobs?
Eventually, we go from the ground floor to a dead-end hallway on floor B1. This will drop you right in front of the door to the Room of Seal. Inside, Guido and Chizuru reveal that they've already unsealed the Dragon of Wanglong, with the other 11 seals around the world being destroyed at the same time. With the dragons released, Tatsuya is headed to Torifune with Gozen, and once they release the Kegare they've harvested, the dragons will obliterate the world. Guido says he'd like to tell us to chase after Tatsuya, but he's just a peon, so he demands we fight him, with Nanjo telling Sub to fight Chizuru. Unless you stuck with the Ellie route, in which case Chizuru calls dibs and Guido fights Sub instead. Since the two fights are fundamentally different, I'm going to cover both, but let's tackle Guido first. Guido is accompanied by 4 X2 robots, which are slightly weaker than the X1s, with less HP and weaker attacks. However, since there are 4 of them, Muramasa Copy is a bigger threat than ever. Since your persona being sealed lasts for a consistent 3 turns, we only care about the odds that one of them uses Muramasa Copy on their last turn. They have 4 different moves including their basic attack and seem to pick their skills randomly. So this means each one has a 75% chance not to use Muramasa Copy. 75% per robot means the actual odds are 31.64% that none of them will refresh the seal and allow us to play the fucking game. While you are sealed, you want to spend most turns defending and using muscle drinks to heal up if you get low. I like to heal if I get around 200, since even if some of them got turns in before I could heal, 200 HP was usually enough to survive. Of course, this is only talking about the X2s. We haven't even talked about Guido yet. While he does have some shot element himself with Rain of Arrows, he is a much more varied opponent, able to cast Wind, Electric, and Almighty spells. But his strongest attacks are his 2 unique spells, Unperishable Black and Wheel of Time. Unperishable Black deals non-elemental damage equal to half of your current HP, rounded down. And Wheel of Time deals Huge Almighty and gets 10% stronger each time he uses it. The longer the fight goes on, the stronger Kandori's going to get, and with the X-Series robots, boy can this fight take a while. Thankfully, since we're defending so much due to the seal, most of his attacks will be dealing less damage, and our extremely high technical stat reduces his damage even further. Still, I recommend you buff with Rakukaja and Samakaja to boost physical and magical defense, since we are able to get shot while we're sealed. Makakaja is also great if you can get it up, since it will make Mekidolan hit a lot harder. While I went for Zionga on the X1s, here I opted for Mekidolan since hitting all the X2s and Guido was too useful to pass up. It took a lot of trial and error, but eventually I took down all the X2s, and once they go down, Guido's no challenge at all.
Do not disappoint me. Well done.
Chizuru, meanwhile, is a very different fight. Like the fake back at Sumaru TV, she has Curse for dark damage and Fiendish Card for 100% Fury chance, but also picks up Rain of Arrows for shot damage, Card of Binding for Thrown with a Mute chance, and Anger of the Earth for severe earth damage. And while she is 50% weak to all physical, she resists all magic. The real kicker is her new unique move, Card of Protection, which has her vanish and reappear alongside 4 fake Chizurus that repel all damage. The only way to get rid of them is to hit the real Chizuru with a basic attack, which might be difficult since she's actually kinda smart. The fakes only have Card of Binding and Curse, so she'll only use those moves while the copies are alive. If she hits you with Fiendish Card beforehand to make you attack randomly, she might just get you to kill yourself for her. The name of the game is working around the clones, and part of that is working around Fiendish Card. So for the Chizuru save, I picked up that Abe no Saime persona I mentioned earlier. My intention was to sit on Abe no Saime's magic repel to block Fiendish Card. But remember, while the fakes are up, she doesn't use moves the fakes don't have, so Fiendish Card is off the table. This gives me setup time I didn't think I'd have, so I set up with every buff in the game before adopting a two-pronged strategy. While Chizuru was alone, I used Abe no Saime to repel her magic attacks. With Rakukaja up, Rain of Arrows and Card of Binding didn't do all that much. Once she summons the fakes, I swapped to Heinir and started defending. Rakukaja and Samakaja keep her damage low if she uses Curse or her basic attack, but since Heinir repels shot and thrown attacks, he also repels Card of Binding, and that tells us who the real Chizuru is. If the repel deals damage, that's the real Chizuru, and if it doesn't, that Chizuru is a fake. Either way, we can eventually deduce which Chizuru is the real one, then swap to Abe no Saime and shoot her in the face to return her to her solo pattern. As long as you keep the loop up, Chizuru shouldn't be too threatening. And with a huge critical basic attack for nearly 1,000 damage, she goes down too. Once we escape in the submarine, Tatsuya demands Sub to explain what's going on. He tries to shut it down again, but Baofu brings up how Tatsuya's been saving money for him, as well as how much we've gone through, chasing him and Tatsuzo through the city for days and even getting marked for death because of the Joker rumors. Between Maya's efforts and Tatsuya's compassion, Sub finally agrees to tell us everything, and we go to the Araya Shrine. Once we get there, we see a flashback of the shrine in flames with a young schoolgirl trapped inside. The fire started by a younger Tatsuya Sudou. She shouts for Sub to run, only for him to awaken to his persona and give him a taste of his own medicine. Quite a strange flashback considering none of that ever happened. In this world, at least. Sub says he's going to Mount Iwato, where our unconscious memories lie, and he'll explain the rest there. Within Mount Iwato, Blue interviews get us Devil Tarot from Lucifugis and World Tarot from Hunapku, so grab the Blue Dragon's Blessing before you go in. As for the dungeon itself, if you're not mapping it, it's basically a straight shot to the end. If you are mapping it, have fun! The secret rooms throughout the dungeon are the easy part. Floor B3 hits you with a huge room with tiles that drain your HP, MP, or poison you, and you do have to map these as well. You are forced to run into the hazards. You also have to hug the walls or else you'll miss out-of-bounds tiles that are still required for the map. So not only does Salam want us to map the entirety of Mount Iwato, he also wants to know all the parts that don't exist. The main reason we're here is for the plot though. Just as Scribe said, at each spring of mirrors, we are shown the unconscious memories deep within ourselves. Up first, we see the cast of Persona 1 saying goodbye and vowing to see each other again as the school year ends, a memory Nanjo had actually forgotten. And in the next, we see Sub alongside Eikichi and Lisa in Seven Sisters.
You know what? From now on, you're Silver Girl. Ginko. Try not to wear it out, baby doll.
Don't you put that that evil on me, Michelle. I am not being called Ginko.
The vision continues with Yukino and I coming in to investigate the Joker, but Katsu points out that we had gone to Seven Sisters with Ulala to investigate the murders. You still don't get it. That was a scene from the other side, an alternate reality. That's where I'm truly from. I'm just using the body of the sub you know. Yeah, okay, I kind of had that coming. Moving ahead, we see ourselves and Sub in a fight against Tatsuya Sudou, fighting alongside Lisa, Eikichi, and Yukino, which confirms that our deja vu comes from memories of the other side. Katsuya asks if Sudou and I come from the other side too, but Sub claims that Sudou was just told about it by him, and that he doesn't know why we only have memories. The next flashback is of the other side party with June after we saved him from some kind of nightmare. Sub and June reminisce over each other's treasured gifts when someone who claims to be June's father teleports in, chastising him for his failures. But Sub says it wasn't June's father at all. It was Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos, the one who stands opposite to Philemon and aims to cause the same chaos that happened on the other side over here. Baofu asks what he means, and to that, we are led to the final spring. We get a vision of the other side as we see ourselves, Sub, Eikichi, June, and Lisa having just beaten Nyarlathotep. Turns out it was all part of a bet that Philemon had with Nyarlathotep, as there are two sides of the same coin. Curious if humanity could develop into a perfect existence, they pit the world against itself to see what would result. And in us, Philemon was convinced that humanity had the potential to discover its true purpose. And then Nyarlathotep cheats. It is said that blood poured endlessly from the wound caused by the lance that pierced Christ's body. And stabbed by that very spear, that Maya is killed, fulfilling the Mayan oracle and destroying the world. Only Sumaru City remained, atop the alien mothership Xibalba. But within the world of the collective unconscious, Philemon told them they had the power to remove the day they met from existence. If they never met, the masquerade would never form, Xibalba would never rise, and the world would be saved, just so long as nobody ever remembers the timeline they forgot. But he couldn't. Sub couldn't forget his friends, and that allowed Nyarlathotep to try again. Remembering my friends, that is my innocent sin. And having to stop Nyarlathotep again is my eternal punishment. Please, Maya, just let me handle this from here.
Did you just drop the names of both games?
I thought it'd be clever. With a few good slaps, we get it into Sub's head that he doesn't need to do this alone. He apologizes and finally agrees to let us help.
My business is done.
But you didn't do anything.
Nanja or Eriko will leave once Sub joins, not that it matters much to us. Baofu mentions how Guido and Chizuru said that Tatsuya was heading to Torifune, so Subs are just following the rumor about it being underground. This is going to be another double-header dungeon, so make sure you're prepared. It was at this point I got a 5-star poll from Fantasy World Sweepstakes, as it gave me an all-around earring, an accessory that boosts all stats by 15. Seeing as I was already at 909 MP at level 49, I figured the Spirit Source had done its job by now. I also picked up my map rewards from Mountain Watto from Salam, and this one is actually special, as in addition to 100 tarot from 6 random arcana, he also gives us a single Fool Tarot. Fool Tarot are as difficult to obtain as they are annoying. When talking to a demon, if your response makes them angry or interested, they might ask you a follow-up question. To get Fool Tarot, your first dialogue must make them interested, and it has to result in a follow-up. In fact, all of your dialogue has to result in a follow-up. After the first interested result, your follow-up must make them angry, then interested, then angry again, then interested again. If you've done everything correctly, instead of getting Tarot of the Demon's Arcana, there is a 1 in 32 chance they will ask you another question. Pick the option with the word Fool or Foolish, and you will be given a single Fool Tarot. The only way you can make this easier is with the Silver Dragon's Blessing from the Sumaru Genie, which makes demon conversations end on 4 of the same result instead of 3, meaning you can drop the conversation once and still potentially get the Fool question. Even still, getting Fool Tarot is awful, which is why Salam giving it to us consistently is so amazing. Fool personas are pretty good too. Every character has great affinity with them, they usually learn good skills, and they have the stats to act as a physical or magical attacker. Plus, they're all immune to Throne, Havoc, Light, Dark Mind, and Nerve, so you don't have to worry about instant kills or ailments. And since it's so hard to get full tarot at all, they only cost 1 to 5 tarot each. However, Salam's map quests only give us a total of 6, so I have to pick my fool carefully. I could grab Sarutobi Sasuke, but he's a bit weak at this point, so I decided to wait for better options. While I was here though, I did grab Abe no Saime since I didn't have him on the Nanjo save yet. I also stopped by Miyu Continent to pick up 99 precious eggs to heal 400 SP each, as well as the material cards for Brahma, Lakshmi, Bishamonten, Kali, and Lucifer, though the latter is replaced by Satan on the Ellie route. I also killed the Loch Ness monster in the back of Miyu Continent, the reward for which is the opportunity to button mash for money. Entirely pointless for someone who just dropped 2 million yen on eggs, but hey, at least I'm so good at button mashing the game accused me of using auto-fire. With our chores completed and a map for Torofune in our pockets, we head to the subway.
Hey, Sub. Got a question for you.
Shoot.
What were we like on the other side?
Tatsuya was stuck dealing with the police station blowing up, Ulala beat her ex-husband's ass so badly we didn't even need to fight him, and you ratioed Hitler on the internet.
Fuck yes.
Hey, go Baofu.
Wait, when did Hitler become a part of this?
Well, he was actually Nardathatep.
I thought he was June's father.
Okay, so 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 29 seconds later. And then Hitler revealed himself to be Nyarlathotep, and while I did beat him, the rumors about the last battalion meant he had the Lance of Longinus, so Professor Okamura could warp in and stab Maya in the back, completing the Mayan Oracle and destroying the world.
That's... wow. I'm at a loss for words.
And I thought the Taiwanese mafia was weird.
And what was that about the aliens?
Before Sub has to explain Innocent Sin again, we arrive at the end of the subway tunnel. This area is loaded with NWO goons, and all the other enemies tend to prefer magic. So use Heinir or Saime to repel these idiots and spam Megi Dolan until you're out. If you get lost, hug the left wall until you find the door. Eventually, we make it to the mothership Torofune, where we cut to Tatsuya giving a speech about how the prophecy of Torofune has come true, and all they need to do is release Joka to cleanse the Kegare of the world by the hands of the 12 dragons. I'm surprised that was a coherent sentence. Though it doesn't seem like this Sugawara guy is entirely on board, though Tatsuya assures him that he'll still get the immortality he was promised. Wink. Anyway, Sub mentions how in the other side, this place was called Shibalba, and is the heart of rumors becoming reality. Ulala suggests the place might be trapped, but Sub says that if we think of anything, there's a chance it will be turned against us. But the second we go inside, we immediately walk into an oven trap, since that happened on the other side and he accidentally thought about it. Thankfully, Sub remembers an idea other side Maya had, which is clear our minds and book it. Whatever we believe is real becomes real, so if we think the oven will cool off, it will. This actually works, and we gain access to the main halls of Torofune. Or as I like to call it, Map Quest Hell. Torofune is one of the largest dungeons in the game, filled with all the terrible Map Quest staples. One-way doors, map tiles that are out of bounds, traps you have to walk into, and of course, it's the Atlas Teleporter Dungeon. This was the longest dungeon in the game for me, even longer than the final one, which is so long that the game breaks it into multiple segments and offers you a teleport back to the city between each one. Torofune? One teleporter about 2/3 in. That's it. Enjoy the Piss Cube dungeon. And we can't even get any tarot here. Every demon hates Maya's interview. At least NWO soldiers are common enemies, so Heinir has plenty of government to repel. Though it's not just us taking them down. Coming to the Room of Insult, we see several NWO soldiers dead at the hands of a trap. Sub says they're probably not even aware of Nyarlathotep or the effects of Torofune, which means that even his own soldiers, hell, the entire NWO, are disposable. I love how well they build Nyarlathotep as a villain here. You feel his presence. He gets shit done, man. No misunderstandings, no tragic backstory. He is evil for the literal love of the game. Moving down to floor B5, you'll come to the largest room I've ever seen, ending in the Room of Damnation. After walking so long, Ulala is tired and needs the rest. Katsuya mentions how it'd be nice if there was a velvet room, and suddenly, there's a velvet room and a Trish fountain. Nyarlathotep is obviously playing us, but as Baofu says, if we can use it, we may as well. Meanwhile, Sub and Maya decide to rest for a bit and share a bit of a moment. So, What personas have been good for you?
The two best ones were Heinir and Abe no Seimei.
No shit. Abe no Seimei learning Tetrakarn carried me.
He got Tetrakarn on the other side? I just bought Megidolon cards from the Time Castle.
You can buy Megidolon here? How much money do you... Gambling. As he walks away, we thank him for saving us, and he just quietly says that we don't need to worry about him. Unfortunately, for being the one who told us to clear our minds, Sub is extremely bad at it. As him thinking about his sins creates metal doppelgangers of Eikichi, June, and Lisa. They pick at his failure to protect us on the other side, and say how he doesn't need to suffer alone, before teleporting him away. When the rest of the gang gets back, they realize these rooms were probably a setup by Nyarlathotep to steal Sub away. So we rush out to save him. By which I mean summon some new personas, grab some ice cream, and then rush out to save him. Floors B5 and B6 are more of the same. One-way doors, teleporters all over, forcing us to do puzzles multiple times in order to fully map the place. I swear to God, these Fool Terror better be worth it. Thankfully, the enemies here aren't any more difficult than they've been. In fact, the NWO are becoming more common, so it's actually a bit easier. I also found the most interesting Gira Makala design I've ever seen. But at the bottom of floor B6, we find the Room of Guilt. The metal versions of the Innocent Sin Gang all talk about how Sub broke his promise to forget, to protect them, and now he's all alone. Fighting alone, surviving alone, suffering alone. But he doesn't need to suffer anymore. As Metal June tries to kill him, Sub stops the blade, declaring that while he'll accept his punishment, it won't be right now. Suddenly, the Eternal Punishment Gang burst in and open fire. Katsuya's shots do nothing, revealing that they null all physical attacks, and the fight starts. The Metal Trio is actually an interesting fight for two main reasons. Hey, what the fuck? This is an interesting fight for two main reasons. The first and most obvious is that there are three of them, and the sheer amount of elements on the table give us a lot we need to cover. Metal Lisa has Tarukaja to buff physical attack, Maha Magnetine for heavy earth, Lover of Darkness for huge earth and dark, and Throw a Kiss for 52% mind element charm. Metal Eikichi has Aquadyne for heavy water damage, Mahamudo for 42% dark type instant kill, and Bloody Divorce, which is basically a fusion of the two. And Metal June has Wingbeat for havoc damage, Mediavama to heal the entire party, and Terror of Fortune for huge wind with a 58% chance to inflict a dark element, sleep, charm, confusion, or fury. As for affinities, all three are immune to physical and ailments. June is weak to earth and drains wind, Lisa drains earth and is weak to wind, and Eikichi nulls water and is weak to fire. This makes Charm and Fury a death sentence, since both force us to spam our basic attack at random targets unless we get lucky enough to cure it naturally. I ended up using a new persona for this, Mithra. While Abe no Seimei's magic repel would have been nice, these guys use their basic attacks a lot, and I have some deja vu that tells me that's a bad idea. Meanwhile, Mithra drains water and resists Dark and Mind, which shuts down Aquadyne and Bloody Divorce and mitigates Lisa's Lover of Darkness and Throw a Kiss, Eikichi's Mahamudo, and the status chance off June's Terror of Fortune. Plus, with the Tech Incense, Mithra deals nearly 600 damage with a Makakaja boosted Megidolon. Assuming nothing goes wrong, it should only take 6 hits to finish them off. But with how much status they're throwing around, nothing going wrong is a big ask. This took me around a dozen attempts because I just kept getting hit by status and losing because of it. I tried and tried and tried again, and then I got on a run that seemed like it had a chance. After several minutes of setup, despite June healing everyone multiple times, I finally got enough hits in to drop June and bring Lisa and Eikichi one hit from death. But that's when Lisa finally landed her now 26% chance to charm. I was one turn from victory and tripped at the finish line. I just had to hope that Maya could sort the ailment out herself before she died. Words cannot describe my pop-off. With the metal trio defeated, Katsuya chides Sub a bit for not perfect parrying that sword, and Sub apologizes, both for himself and for the Sub from this side, who he says feels the same way. With our Sub safe and sound, we can continue to the bottom floors of Torafune. Thankfully, we at least come across the room of transport on floor B7, which contains the teleporter I mentioned. Sub says that it had another symbol on the other side. I wonder what that was. But once we hit floor B8, we can finish the map, and with the teleport right there, we may as well backtrack to heal, eat, and give the map to Salam. This nets us 100 tarot of every arcana, along with 2 Fool tarot, for a total of 3. Looking at all the Fool personas, the 4 tarot Fool is useless to us, and the 5 tarot Fool requires the 3 tarot Fool anyway. So I decided to cash in my Fool tarot to summon Tobi Kato, who has high power sword and fire skills, Tsukukaja, and Makara Karn. I also gave him Tarukaja via skill card to round out his kit. With my new team of some of the most powerful personas I could access, I felt like I was prepared for whatever the game could throw at me. I was not prepared for everything the game could throw at me. Walking into the final room, we see dozens of NWO slaughtered. One of the survivors tells us that it was the General, and behind us, we do see General Sugawara. Or at least, something that was Sugawara. And as we see this horrifying nightmare, the window behind us opens up to give us a front row seat to Torifune rising into the sky, just as Shibalba did on the other side. While all seems lost, Sub points out that as long as we can defeat this thing and escape, Tatsuya hasn't won yet. Unfortunately, that's a pretty tall order. Unlike most fights, which are difficult because they have multiple opponents, BS moves, or absurd level requirements, Sugawara is difficult because he regenerates 775 of his 6200 HP every single turn. Plus, while his attacks don't do much damage, they have solid odds to inflict sleep or shock to make you lose turns, and he also has rage to apply fury. Since he heals from shot and strike damage, fury is an automatic loss. Now, usually this fight is easy. Since Sugawara is 2 times weak to fire, usually you can just spam fire element fusion spells until he dies. But as I said an hour ago, we can't use fusion spells. Without them, there is no way to progress the fight. Megidolan is the highest power option we have access to, and it does just over 600 after a Makakaja boost, meaning it actually does jack shit. And for any SMT or Persona fans wondering why I'm not using debuffs, what debuffs? The Persona 2 games are the only mainline Persona games that don't have them. This fight pisses me off, because it feels like it was designed to spite me specifically. Like, the only reason this run is happening is because I used cheats to remove the other party members. Some Atlas programmer in the 2000s made this to fuck with a straw man cheater who wanted to do a solo run. Unfortunately, that's not a straw man, that's me. I am the Atlas straw man. This was made to fuck with me. And I am not about to be a straw man. So, if Megidolan is the strongest option we have available, even accounting for his fire weakness, what about a skill that we don't have available? What spells could we get? Looking up a list of spells, I found Deadly Burn, the strongest fire spell in the game at 100 base power, even stronger than many fusion spells. And on a 2 times weakness, it would be 200 base power. Now we're talking. So now that we know what spell we want, we need to actually get it. Salam is sadly not helpful here, as Deadly Burn cannot be obtained with a skill card, so we'll have to learn the spell naturally. Of the 4 personas who can learn Deadly Burn, the lowest level is Quetzalcoatl, a rod arcana. Personas of the minor arcana, rods, swords, cups, or pentacles, can only be obtained via mutation, so our solo run prevents us from obtaining any of these personas as well. So our earliest option is Fenrir at level 70, which would require me to be level 65. Typically, I like to avoid power leveling for fights since that makes future fights piss easy, but as Tatsuya Sudou proved, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So I spent several hours grinding inside Torifune, gaining 12 levels of experience by killing dozens upon dozens of the NWO soldiers. Like, I'm pretty sure I just dismantled the shadow government for the sake of a single spell. Once I was done grinding, I fused my new team. Fenrir was obviously on the list, and I also gave him Megidolan to hit anybody who knows fire. And since enemies with buff spells have been showing up more and more, I picked up Verdandi and gave her Dekaja. I also grabbed Ouroboros and gave her Megidolan to act as an offensive tank, as she takes reduced damage from nearly every form of magic. Then I picked up Artemis, because having Maya's Cannon Ultimate Persona just felt right to me, and while I did have to grind out an extra level for it, I also elected to grab Lakshmi. As with Dear Rahin, Bakukaja, Tsukukaja via skill card, and Dance of Bravery, a unique spell that is both Tarukaja and Makakaja, she's the best support persona in the game. As for my final slot, sadly, while Heinir's absolutely been great, he's been falling off for a while now. To be fair, it's a surprise he lasted this long. We've had him for half the game now. But at this point, Heinir just doesn't hold up unless we're fighting the government, and we won't be fighting NWO soldiers for much longer. So, after much deliberation, I decided to swap Heinir for Mahakala. While it's sad to lose Heinir, Mahakala is more than a good replacement, repelling all physical attacks at the cost of a 2x weakness to magic, making him a reverse Abe no Saime. To complement this, I used a skill card to give him a Karakaran, so if I'm only fighting a single enemy, Mahakala is literally unkillable. With a brand new team of personas and the strongest fire spell in the game, I threw myself at Was Sugawara again, hoping that this would work and I could actually make this video. It took a couple of attempts to not die before I could set up, but once I did, it was time to see how good Deadly Burn really was. So I swung into him for over 1,200 damage. On the one hand,
now that's a lot of damage!
On the other, this means we're dealing a little over 400 damage per round, which is dog shit if I'm being honest. In theory, we win after 16 consecutive hits. In practice, good fucking luck. If you get shocked, he gets a free heal. If you get put to sleep, that's a full heal for him. If he inflicts fury, you lose. There are so many ways you can lose this fight, but with Deadly Burn hitting as hard as it is, luck is only a factor for so long. I did get put to sleep at one point, which basically reset the fight, but once I recovered, I somehow managed to dodge the onslaught of status ailments, and after a relatively painless 5 minutes, was Sugawara no more. After the rest of the gang get a few hits in, we do a look around the room and confirm there's no way to land the ship from here. The only way we're bringing this ship down is by taking Tatsuya down with it. Once we teleport back to Sumaru, we find Sumaru Park has been replaced with our next dungeon, Sumaru Castle. And surprisingly, the city getting torn out of the earth doesn't change much for us. Despite the fact that Narumi Ward has been apparently destroyed, some people did make it out. Salam is now hanging out in Hirosaka Satomi Tadashi, and we can pick up rumors from Double Slasher's computer board and the Jolly Roger barkeeper to move Claire de Lune and Paparacha to Aoba and Conan respectively. And Paparacha is just the store I wanted to visit. By talking to the bartender at Ebony, who is now at Parabellum if you missed her, you can find a rumor that Paparacha makes custom weapons and armor. All the gear they make is amazing, but I had my sights set on two things. First, the legendary handgun. In order to get this, first you have to go to Izakaya Saraishi. The lady there runs a people finding service, so talk to her and take a job to find Takumi Asano, the legendary blacksmith. By talking to the man in a black suit nearby, he'll mention how there was a rumor about someone like that standing around the Araya Shrine. Spread the rumor and he'll show up, and if you tell him his name, he says he gave up blacksmithing because he couldn't make a living at it. But he does give you the secret document. Give this to the clerk at Paparacha and you unlock the legendary weapons for crafting. For the handgun, we need an Akashic ring, which we got from the flowers back in Aoba Park. Told you that'd be important. But we also need a Legenbright. Summon Suzaku from the Velvet Room, then rank it up to max. Go back to Igor, select Suzaku, then hit return. Returning a persona will delete it, but if the persona is maxed out, Igor will turn it into an item. And in Suzaku's case, that's the Legenbright. Just like that, we have the best handguns in the game. As for our armor, I saw the Hihi Irokane armor. Yeah, remember the medal we got from the police dog? It's all coming together. But we would also need an obsidian, and to get that, I could return one of 3 personas. Anko, Parika, or... I can't believe it. It's fate. What else could it be? I stumble upon one of the strongest personas in the game, not for his strength, but because he screws over the game's main antagonists, and as luck would have it, even after he falls off from my main attacker, he still finds a way to support me. If Heinir cannot be my sword, then he shall be my shield. Returning his spirit to Obsidian, I handed the materials to the clerk and donned my new gear. The legendary handgun loses the Dragoon's mute chance, but has a whopping 50 extra power, for a total of 160. Meanwhile, where the best dresser was a plus 55 to physical defense, the Hihi Irokane armor was a plus 67 with a plus 50 to magic defense. I was unstoppable. I was perfect. Immediately upon entering Sumaru Castle, a couple of statues encourage us to find and offer up the 7 Kotodama as prayers. This is actually the main gimmick of the dungeon. In the floor of the main room, we see an engraving of the Big Dipper, with the stars teleporting us to various parts of the dungeon. See, Sumaru Castle is less of a dungeon and more 7 maze-like mini-labyrinths stapled together. Maybe I'm just stupid, but the first maze took me almost as long as the Undersea Ruins did. And at the end, I come across a Dubhe lithograph that gave me the letter P, and explained the rest of the puzzle. If we take the only teleporter that's not part of the Big Dipper, we find the door that tells us to offer the Great Prayer, consisting of each of the 7 minor prayers found throughout the dungeon. To put this in English, the password is a 7-letter word that begins with P. But after spending several hours grinding up Fenrir right before this, if I'm being completely honest, I really didn't feel like fucking doing that.
Okay, 7-letter word that starts with P.
Oh, Philemon!
Dipshit, that's 8 letters.
I don't see you making any guesses.
How about persona?
Nope.
What if it's something Greek? All of our personas are Greek.
Pleiades. That was important on the other side.
8 letters.
Wait, really?
Pleiades.
Fuck.
Oh, Perseus!
That got it.
Yes! I knew those Greek and Roman history courses would come in handy.
Who the hell is Perseus?
I have no idea.
Did none of you fuckers read Percy Jackson in the Olympics? You know what? Never mind. I'm gonna shut the fuck up.
With the dungeon completed with random guesswork, we arrive at the main temple and find that Tatsuya has killed the rest of the NWO leaders. Any attempts to sway him prove pointless, as he is convinced that humanity has sinned beyond redemption. Punishment is all that awaits humanity, but what Tatsuya forgot is that he is human too. And if punishment is what awaits humanity, then it's punishment he shall receive. As Gozen turns Tatsuya into an abomination, just like Sugawara. But unlike Sugawara, he's completely pathetic. But the fight isn't over yet, as Nyarlathotep's will causes the spirit of Gozen to resurrect, leading to a second boss. On a typical playthrough, Gozen can actually be skipped. If you do a few side quests, you can unlock 3 secret personas: Mayahime Amano, Junosuke Kuroda, and Tatsunoshin Scribe. If you have all 3, you can activate the secret fusion spell Tenshu Satsu, or as it would eventually be translated 2 decades later, Recalcitrant Execution.
The moment you stepped before me, you sealed it.
This move deals high sword damage and instantly kills Gozen specifically. Sadly, we can't do that shit, and fighting Gozen is kind of annoying. He mostly focuses on physical damage with Havoc and Throne attacks, but does have Megidolan and Trial of Darkness, which deals high dark damage with an instant kill chance. Thankfully, his physical attacks don't really do much after a Rakukaja boost, even against Artemis's 50% weakness. So I buffed up, then swapped her in to repel Trial of Darkness and Megidolan. For such a simple fight, it was far from clean, but after a few attempts, Gozen goes down. As the dust settles, Gozen's body vanishes, leaving behind a pillar of pink energy, which grows and absorbs Sumaru Castle, the Earth Dragon, and Torafune itself, as we are dragged into the collective unconsciousness where Nyarlathotep awaits. Sub tells Nyarlathotep to fuck off, and he's like,
I don't know, I just got here.
He teleports all around, taunting us with all of our faces, before warping June, Eikichi, and Lisa in above us. He says that if they remember the other side, this world will cease to exist. But tells us that if we can suppress the shadows within this world, that he will give us our friends back one at a time. If we cannot, he will gain the power to destroy the world. He vanishes and allows us to venture into Monado Mondala, a world of darkness, deception, and the sickest music I've ever heard. I love me a good dungeon theme. This shit gets you so hyped. Once it drops, it never stops. The percussion is simple but driving. It's almost like wheels on a train. Most of the instruments are dark and foreboding, almost blending into each other, only undercut by a mystical, ethereal whine. I fucking love this theme, which is why I'm really upset that the PSP version butchered it.
I mean, it's alright, like...
Nothing blends together anymore. The percussion lost that train-like drive, and the whine no longer undercuts the song. The PS1 version felt like you were traversing an otherworldly plane to save humanity. The PSP version feels like I'm at the club. Then again, if pissing me off is the intent, maybe the PSP version is better, because this dungeon pisses me off. Because this game doesn't just have one bullshit teleporter dungeon, it has 2. Actually, since we skipped Sumaru Castle, it actually has 3. To give Monado Mondala some credit, you are never truly far away from Sumaru City. We come across a special door pretty early on that leads us to what I call the break room. This area contains doorways that lead to each of the 6 layers of Monado that unlock as you progress. A door back to Sumaru City, a velvet room, and the Trish fountain.
Okay, how the fuck?
Would you believe me if I told you Gnarly is a massive ice cream nut?
This means that we can restock on items and reapply Blue Dragon whenever we need to, which is handy as blue interviews get us World and Judgment cards from a Robertson Throne, though normal interviews will get us Chariot from Talos as well. Though, speaking of Sumaru, the guy who runs Time Castle has new dialogue that seems to imply he's aware of what's happening right now. And considering Philemon is too weak to help, this means that the time count is actually Nyarlathotep. Nyarlathotep has been the one selling us Megidolon cards the entire time. As we move through Monado, we begin to see visions of our past selves. We see a younger Tatsuya talking with his guidance counselor as he decides to abandon his dream of becoming a pastry chef to pursue a career as a police officer. After the injustice his father suffered, Tatsuya decided to become a cop to try and clear his father's name. And as much as he denies it, his shadow reveals his true self. He gave up on his life, his dreams, so that he could save his father and take care of his brother, and part of him resents them for it. He tells him to stop pretending to be the loving older brother, and Tatsuya actually pulls a gun on Sub, with Sub not even bothering to move. This is where the game offers us the first of several choices. For each wrong choice we make, Eikichi and Lisa come closer to reawakening their memories from the other side. And for each one that remembers, the harder the final boss becomes. So I fucked up every choice intentionally to make the final boss as hard as possible. Did everything wrong for everyone, delaying everyone's story arcs as much as possible. Like and subscribe if you make wrong choices for content. Speaking of choices, while restocking in Sumaru, I ended up finding some nice dialogue. You have no reason to go back to Kismet Publishing, but if you do, you'll find Editor-in-Chief Mizuno in the middle of a crisis of self. She spent all her life working, but now the city is flying, dragons are in the sky, and nobody knows what's real. She used to have a dream, but now she was just working without a purpose, never experiencing reality for herself. But if you tell her that she can still recapture her dreams, she finds the strength to fight for herself again and tells you to go do what you need to do. I like this scene a lot because it's really sweet that even someone like Mizuno, someone who's been nothing but shitty to us, can be given hope. Even as everything she put her faith in crumbles, you can put aside what she's done to you and help her through it. And she knows you're the one to solve it. A lot of times, you can't save shitty people. But every now and again, sometimes, maybe you can save just one. Jumping back into Monado, we come to Ulala's flashback and see her and I out drinking at Ebony. It's late, we're almost passed out drunk, and we're just thinking about Sub, a boy we don't even know yet. Why do we get all the attention from men? She's prettier, athletic, fashionable, a great homemaker. She's a catch. We get all the attention because people treat her like some ugly skank. All just because she doesn't know what she wants in life. As her shadow says, she's just looking after us because of her own inferiority complex, and she's starting to realize it too. Her shadow asks if we can tell, and if we answer for her, we steal her confidence to answer for herself. With that, our first fate is sealed. Failing Katsuya and Ulala's dialogues not only reawakens Eikichi's memories, but also gives Shadow Katsuya and Shadow Ulala a power boost, as they act as our first mini-boss. The stronger versions of the Shadow selves have boosted stats, so be prepared. Shadow Ulala does have some solid spells, with a lot of wind damage with a splash of Dark and Dark Nebula, along with Alluring Mazurka for a 44% charm chance, but she kinda just wants to beat the shit out of you with her basic attacks. But Ulala's not the scary one here. Shadow Katsuya hits really hard with nuclear and shot attacks, and has Shadow Force to prevent you from seeing your HP and MP for some reason. But his scariest move is Vice Shot, a 64% shot element instant kill. Shadow Force is defeated by pen and paper, but a 64% instant kill is a massive threat. While we could use Mahakala to stop it, being weak to magic means we'll almost immediately die to Heat Geyser or getting charmed by Alluring Mazurka. I didn't want to resummon Heinir, but looking over my options to repel shots proved I was fairly limited. Futsuno Matama is a minor arcana, Satan is locked to the Ellie route, and Umaya no Oji is weaker than Heinir. But that's when I noticed a different option. Rangda repels all physical attacks, takes 25% less magic damage, and nulls Dark as well as all ailments. Her only weakness is light, but most enemies here don't use light anyway. She does require the Dancing Mask material card to summon, but you literally can't miss it, since it's a guaranteed drop when you fight her as a mini-boss in Sumaru Castle. The realization that I screwed myself out of the answer to this fight somehow gave me the mental fortitude to beat my head against the wall for a bit longer. I buffed up, then swapped in Ouroboros and just spammed Megidolon until they died. Do you remember?
Yeah. Why didn't you tell me? Why are you doing this all on your own?
Michelle, I couldn't...
No, you listen here. Why do you think I did everything I did? For Hanakoji? For Maya? For you? I put my ass on the line for all of you. Because that's what a man does. Because you do the same for me. I'm not letting you suffer alone, dumbass. Now let's move, or I'll have to put my boot up that guy's ass myself.
Sadly, Eikichi can't come with us, as Philemon warps him away. Him remembering already makes Nyarlathotep stronger. His presence would only make that worse. Sub is heartbroken, but there's nothing we can do but continue forward. The enemies are starting to get tougher as well. Even though we're higher level than most of them, a lot of encounters are capable of taking us down, so I recommend using a stoma or to disguise goods to repel low-level encounters. This gets us to Baofu's flashback, in which we see young Pao as reverse Odysseus in the middle of murdering Baofu's ex-wife Miki. Baofu is immediately about to crash out, and interestingly, the correct option is to actually intervene and tell him to get a hold of himself. Baofu finally realizes that he never forgave himself for Miki's death. He was a hotshot who thought he was unstoppable, and when he couldn't protect Miki, he blamed everyone but himself. He used us to get to Tatsuya, and he's no better. As Ulala pleads for him to stop, Katsuya knocks him on his ass. Tatsuya is dead. Baofu got his wish. He knew all along he was stuck in the past. That's why he came here, to face the memories he was denying. He should cherish the memories he has of her, not use them to tear himself down. Baofu takes a moment, then says he's okay now. He then declares it was all an act, and he was paying Ulala back for kicking the shit out of him back at the bar. Don't worry, she knows what he means. After this, I went back to Sumaru to restock on items and Blue Dragon, and also to summon Kali, giving her Samakaja because I got rid of it by mistake. Thankfully, the next layer makes leveling up Kali fairly easy, since she starts with Blade of Fury, an all-target sword skill, and the Berserk and Talos in this area are immune to sword. I know the GitHub and the SMT wiki say that Berserk repels sword, but, they're wrong. Regardless, what ranks up a persona is using a skill, not doing so successfully, so we can spam nulled attacks until Kali is max rank. Once we're done, we press onward until we come across Nyarlathotep again. Sadly, we don't get a Shadow Mire yet, but Nyarlathotep is more than happy to poke at our insecurities himself. He calls Sub a toy in his hands that Maya will never have, and Maya, likely not wanting to admit she has feelings for a high schooler, decides to shoot Nyarlathotep. What?
Shoot, I didn't even know that worked like that. I am thou, thou art I, goes a long way.
Yeah, fun fact, this knocks Sub's HP down to 1. I love that. But with that, we've locked in our route and sealed our fate. In the next and final layer of Monado, with both Maya and Baofu's incorrect choices made, Lisa regains her memories, and both shadows are at full power. Shadow Baofu has access to high lightning and strike damage, and also has Shadow Force to hide your info again. But the main threat comes from his unique moves, Bastard Snap and Level Trap. Bastard Snap deals high throw damage with a Dark Element mute chance, and Level Trap deals non-elemental damage based on your level. If your level is a multiple of 2, 3, or 5, you take damage equal to your level times the highest value. But if it's a multiple of 9, it's a guaranteed instant kill. As for Shadow Maya, she's mostly here as support. Diamond Dust lets her fish for freeze procs, Tetrakarn lets her protect Baofu or herself, Meteorama can heal them both, and she also has Eclipse Mirror for Almighty and Dark damage, and Whirlwind Blast for thrown damage. With both shadows having access to physical and magical attacks, neither of our repel personas are good here. Artemis has similar affinities to Abe no Saime, so she's weak to physical attacks, and Mahakala is open to magical attacks. We want as defensive of a persona as possible. Rangda would be perfect, but... So I settled on Kali. Kali is neutral to most attacks, barring Diamond Dust, letting me slowly chip away at Baofu's HP with Heat Geyser. Once he went down, I initially swapped to Mahakala and tried to repel Cheesemeyer to death, but since her persona is Reverse Artemis, she also repels all magic, meaning most of my repels are doing nothing. So I went back to Kali and started swinging with Deathbound. Unfortunately, I realized something awful had happened. Despite Shadow Maya having a 50% weakness to physical, my damage was in the low 100s. Meanwhile, my spells, using Kali's lower magic stats, were doing significantly more to Baofu. This wasn't right, something was wrong. I shouldn't be doing this little damage. Checking everything, I discovered that for some reason, my legendary handgun somehow had a power of 1 and a poor hit rate. What the fuck? Around 2 hours earlier, I came in with the Blue Dragon's Blessing, and Berserk responds to Blue Interview with Fear. And while Fear usually just has the demon run away, this time, Berserk told me that rumors are frightening and that my handgun is useless. Turns out, if you make a demon afraid, there's a rare chance it'll spread a rumor that your weapon is useless, reducing its power to 1 and making it inaccurate. This also affects our physical attack stat, which affects physical spells. The reason Deathbound was doing fuck all was because this shithead hit my brand new legendary handgun with Curse of Limp Dick not 4 hours after I bought the damn thing. Now you might be thinking, but surely there's a way to cure that, right? And yes, there is. By making a demon you already have a contract with happy, you can ask them to spread a counter rumor. Remember Gandharva back in Sumaru TV? That's what we'd have to do to clear this rumor. We would need a conversation start from a demon who gives us red or yellow results, get 3 follow-up questions in a row, and get happy results from all of them. And we have to do this twice, once to form the contract and again to spread the rumor. And in the cruelest twist, while red results are the most likely to get follow-ups, if anything goes wrong in the conversation, we'll inevitably get 3 red results and make them angry, which breaks the contract. There is nothing I can do to fix my gun in any reasonable amount of time. Our flaccid and frankly useless gun just ruins Maya's physical damage. I'm doing so little damage to Shadow Maya that her Meteorama heals 1.5 turns of damage. This gun is so ass that Shadow Maya has to decide to lose. Thankfully, I don't think she's heard the rumor yet, because she only healed sparingly. It took me 22 minutes to work through her 4,000 HP, and for some perspective, Shadow Baofu took around 8. But after half an hour of shooting her with the equivalent of a Nerf gun, eventually she decides to go down. Ginko, I didn't want you to remember. I'm sorry.
I could tell, you know. Even on this side, I could tell how much you were hurting. You didn't need to tell me, but do you think I wouldn't have been there for you?
I didn't want to hurt you.
Do you honestly think turning me down would make me care about my sub any less?
I told you, I
know. Just friends. Now come on. I have a knuckle sandwich with Nyarthala.
God, this shit sucks, dude. But with Lisa teleported away, there's nothing left but the final boss. We throw our legendary Nerf gun in the trash, re-equip the Dragoon, and head inside to confront Nyarlathotep. Appearing before us, he tells the rest of us Scribe's innocent sin. On the other side, Nyarlathotep won. That Maya died and the world was destroyed. With no options but to tear away the day they met from reality, the gang says their goodbyes, Sub gives Philemon his final words, and the world was reborn anew. But Sub couldn't let go of the memories of his friends, and... Okay, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I can't hold back any longer. So, aside from the opening awakening scene, I haven't called much attention to this game's original English voice acting. That's because this game's English voice acting is...
Ooh la la! Maya! Get away from that brat!
Whoa! It's getting bigger! It's okay. You can stop suffering.
But it's not too late.
Rubbish, frankly. Now, I know we were still at the point where games having voice acting at all was a novel concept. Resident Evil 1 tier voice work isn't a new thing. And I also know it isn't a matter of talent. Most of these actors and actresses would go on to become extremely prolific voice actors, many of them still doing work for Atlas. And it's usually easy enough to look past an older game's bad acting and see it for what it is. But it's a bit difficult to do that when one of the most important scenes in the game, where we see Tatsuya fail to let go of his memories, inadvertently causing the events of the entire game to take place, is voiced like this.
Guys, don't go. Don't leave me alone. Please, no. Please, no. No!
I don't know whether this is bad voice direction or just early game acting or what, but this scene is infamous. This is the only thing some people know about Persona 2, and it sounds like it came out of the room.
I'm fed up with this world.
And I was just going to leave it at this, complain about the voice acting and move on, but then I realized I have an Eikichi. I have a Lisa, a Jun, and a Tatsuya. There's nothing stopping me from having this voiced myself.
We went through a lot, but I'm glad we met again. Don't forget what you promised, dude.
Tatsuya, don't forget me. I do love you.
I won't forget, or say goodbye. Just thank you.
I don't want to forget what happened. How could I forget? Guys, don't go. Don't leave me alone. Please, no, please, no, no!
You didn't really think that would work, right? Oh, you went and jumped the gun back at the Sky Museum and backed into a corner. You went and did the same damn thing he did. And he kept it hush-hush for you too. But all y'all did is give me another paradox to make me stronger. You're plumb out of options. You've lost.
I won't turn my back on my sin again.
If changing the past is a sin, then I'll face that sin head on, because it brought me here right where I need to be. It's whoop-ass time!
Nyarlathotep's fight has two phases, Moon Howler and God of 1000 Faces. Our choices with Lisa and Eikichi only affect Moon Howler, but those changes make him our toughest fight yet. He's typically weak to both water and wind, but one person remembering removes the water weakness and both removes the wind weakness as well. And at full power, his skills are extremely threatening. He has Shadow Kill for heavy thrown damage, steals Imperishable Black from Guido to half our current HP, and has Omega Cluster, a dark skill that instant kills the lowest level target on our side for 8 turns. But his most devastating move is Guard Punish, a severe almighty attack that deals double damage if you were guarding. Oh, and don't bother talking to him, he has nothing worthwhile to say.
Why did you come?
Needless to say, Dark Immunity is required for Omega Cluster, which makes Ouroboros and Lakshmi's Dark Resistance a risk and Mahakala's Dark Weakness a death sentence. While Mahakala does have Makaragon, it's possible due to his higher agility for Nyarlathotep to get 2 turns in a row, so we can't rely on Repel Cheese for this phase. Thankfully, we only need Lakshmi to buff with Dance of Bravery. Once we're buffed, we can just swap to Fenrir, Kali, or Artemis, all of whom are immune to dark attacks. Except that's not exactly true. Omega Cluster's instant kill doesn't actually care what your dark resistance is. It cares what it was when Nyarlathotep used it. In this attempt, Omega Cluster hit Lakshmi's dark resistance, so even though I swapped to Fenrir's dark immunity, I was still rolling like I only had resistance. So after I got a run where I was able to buff up without getting hit by Omega Cluster, I swapped to Fenrir. Nyarlathotep's Moon Howler phase is actually immune to Almighty, which ruined my main offensive strategy of spam Megidolon. However, that wasn't what I built Fenrir for. Deadly Burn's severe fire damage gives me a powerful spell attack, and now using a gun that didn't suck, physical attacks were back on the table. With that, we were able to tackle the Moon Howler to death, pushing him to phase 2.
This is splendid. You would have
The God of 1000 Faces has 18,000 HP, the highest stats of any enemy in the main game, the loss of his almighty immunity for some reason, and a moveset to give even the most prepared players trouble. He drops Omega Cluster for Chaos Element, which deals dark damage equal to your level times a random number from 1 to 8. He also keeps Shadow Kill, drops Unperishable Black for Wheel of Time, Guido's other unique, and picks up 3 new unique moves. Transient Ripple negates any buffs, shields, or regeneration effects on you. Wheel of Fortune prevents you from changing your persona for 8 turns, and Crawling Chaos deals Huge Almighty with a 56% mute chance. Suffice to say, this phase has some of the hardest hitting moves in the game, and while most of them are magic based, Shadow Kill prevents us from just sitting on Artemis. However, that's when I realized something. He dropped Omega Cluster, so he no longer has an instant kill. And that means Mahakawa's dark weakness is no longer a concern. Our technical stat is so high that even if he hits our magic weakness, it doesn't do that much damage. If he uses Transient Ripple to remove Makara card, we can just put it back up. Repel strats are back on the table. When you need the heal, swap to Artemis, as Repel magic is safer to sit on for healing. But slow as it is, sure, his HP gets lower and lower. Our gambling gave us infinite money for items, Salam's maps gave us Makara card, and Nyarlathotep himself sold me as many copies of it as I wanted. The game break never stopped. Under the sheer weight of my gambling addiction, Nyarlathotep kills himself. With Nyarlathotep defeated, the world is saved. Almost. Scribe doesn't belong here. He is the paradox. If he stays, the other side will destroy this reality. The gang says their goodbyes, never forgetting the sacrifices he made. And with that, Scribe heads home. Thank you, Maya, everyone, for everything. And don't forget to like and subscribe. As we fade back in, the world seems to be doing better. Maya's back to her job and seems to have a better relationship with her boss. Baofu took down his rumor board and is back to being Kaoru, and is starting over by running a search agency with Ulala, and it seems like they're dating now too. The Persona 1 gang managed to get back together for drinks, and all of them are doing well for themselves. And Katsuya and the Sub from this side rekindled their relationship, with Katsuya telling Sub that he'll teach him how to be a detective too. Though, because of our choices, Eikichi and Lisa are left reconciling with their new memories, all while Jun is left simply feeling like he's forgotten something dear to him. But, with Nyarlathotep defeated, we can officially say that we have completed Persona 2 Eternal Punishment without... Hi, this is Robin. Sorry for breaking character. I know I played the entire video like I didn't remember the Innocent Sin run, and if you've made it this far, thank you for playing along. You're probably wondering why I'm taking the mask off and addressing you directly. Well, as many people know, this game has a New Game Plus bonus dungeon. If you have clear data on your memory cards for both the Nanjo and the Ellie route, you unlock the EX dungeon. Or, as I like to call it, Philemon's Torment Nexus. The Torment Nexus is actually the only part of the game that doesn't require cheats to do solo. The game lets us pick what party members we use, but it doesn't force us to take anyone. So we can do it with only Maya, no cheats required. Also, while making an EX save, the game uses a cleared save of your choice as a base, with equipment, items, stats, and summoned personas being the same as what was on that save. While my Nanjo and Ellie saves are similar, I had a lot more items on the Nanjo save, so I chose to use that. Now, you might be wondering why I call this place the Torment Nexus. Well, that's because it feels like the dungeon was designed with active malice. Walking out of the Velvet Room, we see what looks like Seven Sisters High, except someone set the place on fire. With flames blocking most of the doors, we are forced to start with room 1A, which looks like the Taurus Temple from Innocent Sin. Most of the enemies here are upgraded versions of demons we fought during the main game, and while they only give you a normal amount of tarot, because fuck you, talking can still be useful to skip fights. But when I got into a fight and went to change my persona, I got this screen. Nani? At the time I had no idea whether this was intentional or not, but since I was getting no visual output from my menuing, I assumed this meant I couldn't switch personas outside of battle. So I did all of 1A with that in mind. 1A is basically just the Taurus Temple Redux. Shifting sand paths act like conveyor belts in the abandoned factory, and it's really easy to get lost here. I see Philemon enjoys the Sans Undertale approach of strongest attack first, because 1A took me longer than most other rooms in this dungeon. Though some guys I looked at when writing the script said 1A is super easy to navigate, so maybe I'm just stupid. Either way, the path that ended up working being going west from the entrance, hard north through 2 sand paths, down one of these stairways, then into the Vortex of Light to finish the area. After finding the Vortex in room 1A, we gain access to room 1D. Now, since soloing this is going to be rough, you might be wondering if the game provides us any means of healing or restocking on items. Good news, you do have healing at a shop. Bad news, guess who runs it?
Hi! Welcome to Trish's item shop!
You've gotta be fucking kidding me.
I've started to sell items too. I can't profit from just recovery. I'm aiming for a nationwide monopoly!
Do you at least still sell ice cream?
Nope.
In addition to her healing services, Trish now runs a shop from her fountain. She sells the same items you'd find at any Satomi Tadashi, though everything now costs 5 times as much. So I guess we found the bitch who designed Nocturne's hard mode. We have the money, of course, because richest woman in the Torment Nexus, but like, Jesus Christ, Trish. Anyway, up next is 1D, which looks like Innocent Sin's Aquarius Temple. This room is a giant gimmick. The second you enter the first door, the game forces Maya to run straight ahead, and the only way to steal yourself is by turning the camera with the L and R buttons. Under these conditions, Philemon challenges us to reach the vortex in under 3 minutes. There are sigils on the ground that will teleport you back to the start, but honestly, this room is easy. I got it on my second try, and the only reason I didn't first try it is because I didn't know what the sigils did. With that, the fires in front of the staircase subside, and we gain access to the second floor. Surprise, there's more fire. But going forward, we find a mysterious door that tells us to expose the truth of the dream. I gave Persona a shot because why the hell not, but when that didn't work, I decided to play the game normally and head to room 2A. This room looks a lot like Club Zodiac, so we're finally to areas in Eternal Punishment at least. And this is the area that took me the longest. Unless the room you're in is a rest area, 2A prevents you from healing, inside or outside of battle, forcing you to go from one rest area to the next on the same tank of gas. Though at least there are no random encounters here. Some areas will force you to choose between going over damaging tiles or taking a fight, and while it might seem counterintuitive, I always recommend the fights. After you win a fight, it won't respawn, so if you end up needing to backtrack and heal, coming back is easier. Hell, you can even go all the way back to the entrance after every fight. But to go over the required fights, 2 zombie DJs can either be smoked by 2 Megidolons or a deadly burn, 5 haunted taxis are Megidolon fodder, assuming they don't run away from the combat with radical power slide, and this also gives you a rest area to the southeast. Takshaka dies to Mahakala Repel Cheese or enough Megidolon spam. Ignore everything on Basement 4, one of these fights is against Shadow Maya. Basement 5 has a rest area followed by a fight against 5 of Innocent Sin's masquerade cultists, who all die quickly to Megidolon, and the final fight is against a rock band, who we can kill with an almighty light show. With that, we find the vortex, and the way is cleared to room 2C. Who are you? I do not know who you are, but could you tell me, where am I? Who am I? Why am I carrying this sword? Please, miss, I came here for a reason.
Will you excuse me for just one moment? I am not doing this.
What do you mean?
I am not curing the amnesia of a serial killer. Why is he even here?
He was from the world where you lost at the museum. I had to put him somewhere.
So you put him in the Torment Nexus and gave him amnesia?
It seemed better than allowing a serial arsonist to run amok.
Then why am I curing his amnesia? He's just gonna do arson again!
It will be fine. Now go do more Torment Nexus. It was at this point I realized why I was getting that odd menu bug. When the game creates an EX save, it re-adds everyone's initial personas to your stock to make sure that everyone has at least one persona they can use. But since Maya is solo, my max persona stock is 6, and I already had 6 personas on me. This means I now had 12 out of 6 personas, which causes the game's UI to freak out. That said, I also realized that the bug was purely visual. By writing down my personas in the order they appeared in the menu, I could navigate the menus blind based on audio cues. Anyway, room 2C looks like Mount Iwato. In order to restore Sudou's memories, we need to find 3 items hidden within the area, all of which tie to innocent sin in some way. The black lighter he used to burn down Araya Shrine, the knife he used as a serial killer, and the Book of Mayan Prophecies in Lakiti. This area is goddamn huge, but somehow I managed to get through it faster than Club Zodiac. The hardest item to find was, oddly, in Lakiti, considering it's the only one that doesn't require using the warp pads in the area. We could find a special set of amber glasses here too, which would let us summon Nanjo's ultimate persona, his butler. I just wanted to mention that the butler becomes a persona after he dies. So once we have all the items, we return them to their rightful owner and restore Tatsuya Sudou's memory. What do you think he's going to do next? Is it A, force me to relive my past experiences, B, make us solve an annoying puzzle, or C, arson? Trick question, dickhead. Answer was D, all of the above. Sudou sets the entire bottom 2 floors on fire, activating the 40-minute timer from the Sky Museum. This also seals off the Trish Fountain and Velvet rooms, while also opening up Classroom 2B. Thankfully, this one is short. It's just a simple conveyor belt puzzle from the abandoned factory. Reverse the belt's direction in the west side of the room, then run over to the east side to reach the room's vortex. This unlocks room 1C, which is a dead ringer from Mount Mifune. Within, we find the Jizo statue that says the truth of the dream, written in Japanese, is that. And moving ahead, we find the Jizo statue with Lunar Palace Gaten Sushi written on it, with some of the letters replaced by Japanese characters. The characters represent the letters they replace 1 to 1, so these 2 lines are an N, the fish is a P, etc. From there, we can look at the 8-character truth within a dream and replace the Japanese characters to get, oh god damn it,
Fucking goddamn bullshit. I knew that was going to happen. Wait. I could have skipped that?
Perhaps if you'd have guessed better, yes.
Motherfucker!
Moving into the 3rd floor, we are locked out of the Velvet Room for a bit, but thankfully not the Trish Fountain. The only door open to us right now is 3C, so we head inside to what looks like Sumaru Castle. Getting through this area requires passing through 5 meteor gates to reach the vortex at the end. How does one get through a meteor gate, you ask?
Do you want to pass the extra dungeon?
I want to go home.
Do you want to... Girl, you good?
I've had my legs taken control of, had to dodge another fight with my evil shadow self, and I was just made to revive the memories of a serial murderer / arsonist. Robin is having fun. Maya, I'm just tired.
Well, shit. I've never gotten a correct answer like that. Tell you what, answer me one question and we can skip the whole bit. Sound good?
I'd like that.
All right. So, how many times was the word Megidolon said in this video?
You cannot be serious.
Look, the original questions were about your favorite food, and they don't even mention that in this game.
In all seriousness, the Meteor Jerk does actually ask you questions about both games. And this shit can get really cryptic. How many times did Tatsuya Sudou say voices in the main story? What's the name of Mu Continent's Loch Ness Monster? What is Maya's favorite food, which has never been mentioned in-game before? There are lithographs throughout the area that give you hints, but honestly, just look this one up. Once you're done, we return to Sevens to find a younger Katsuya? He assumes he's somehow time-traveled to the past based on the 4th floor staircase not being open, but since he has an exam up there, he asks for our help opening the way. He says that something in room 3B, where he came from, is causing a time slip, but it's currently blocked by fire, so what do we do? Well, if you repeatedly knock on the door of room 3D, you'll hear a Jack Frost on the other side. He doesn't like talking to people and tells us to go ask Jack-o'-lantern for help instead. And this is where the run dies. What the game wants us to do is go back to room 3C and find a random encounter with Jack-o'-lantern, form a contract with him, then make him happy again to ask him for info. He'll tell us that his friend Jack Frost can put out the fires, so form a contract with Jack Frost, then make him happy to ask him to put out the fires. Once you get 4 Jacks to help, you can convince the one in 3D to help, causing them all to fucking die and clear the way to room 3B. From what I can tell, the Jacks in 3C will never start a conversation, so the only way we have to get happy results is off the table. And that means we cannot open the door to 3B alone. The EX dungeon is impossible for Maya to complete solo. But I got this far, so let's find out if we can get through this without having people attack in combat at least. To talk to the Jacks, I used Maya, Ulala, and Ellie. Maya plus Ulala gets us a contract with Jack-o'-lantern, but gets us a green and yellow result from Jack Frost. And maxing green and yellow at the same time has the demon give you an item instead. To get around this, I opened with Ulala plus Ellie, which makes Jack Frost angry, then got a green result off of the follow-up. With 1 green banked, Maya plus Ulala will max out green and not yellow, netting us a contract. Repeat this process 4 times, and we're good to go. If anyone can lower the number of people required or get a random conversation with the Jacks, please let me know. I'd love to know if we can get this down lower or even make a true solo run possible. On that note, I was using Sub plus Maya for Jack Frost, which would be a smaller party size, but the third Jack Frost is a simp and won't help if there are any men in your party, so that's why I used all girls. Finally defeated by our lack of social skills, we enter room 3B, which actually takes us further into the past, where we meet a younger Professor Okamura from the Innocent Sin timeline. She doesn't want to take the metal plate down, but says she'll do it if we donate money to her research. And you'd think we could help with that, what with all of our money. This despicable heretic, this little slut, this pawn of Hitler, takes all of my money as a partial contribution, and then has the audacity to demand another 5 million yen. I have never been so violently angry at a video game character in my life. Thankfully, the past also gives us a good place to make 5 million yen, so I might not have to kill her just yet. Room 3A is blocked by fire in the present, but not the past. And inside, we find what appears to be Monado Mondala. Within this area are 5 Tenshu coins, which can be sold for 1 million yen each, giving us enough money to pay off Okamura. Typically, doing so would require us to pass through several doors, each of which force you to leave behind a party member. But if you're solo, the doors actually comment on your choice and let you pass freely. Though, had I known this was coming, I could have had 5 million yen worth of casino prizes in my inventory ready to flip once Okamura robs me and skip this room too. That said, 3A is the best place for you if you need to grind. The enemies are tough but provide a ton of experience, and they drop great items too. Most notably, Azidahaka drops an all incense, which boosts all of your stats by 2 points. If you need to grind for Philemon, this is where you want to do it. But once we get all the coins and sell them to Trish for 5 million yen, we hand it to Okamura, who has the gall to say she can't believe we have so much money. It'll take time for the workers to take the plate down, but with time travel, that's not a factor. There remains only 1 door left to open. The path to Philemon lies before us. I am impressed you made it here. You were the strongest I have ever seen. Now...
Why?
Pardon?
This dungeon feels like it was designed with cruel intent. I know that's typical for New Game Plus Continent Atlas games, but this was evil. Not even hard, just evil. I should be mad at you. But really, I just want to know why you make a dungeon like this.
In truth, people said the Innocent Sin run seemed too easy. Humans find little more entertaining than the suffering of others, and I am part of the collective unconscious, after all.
That's what all this was? Okay. What do you want me to tell your family? Because they're not going to find your body.
Splendid, just splendid. Give me your all, my friend. Philemon is this game's true final challenge, and while he is simple, he is very effective. The only thing I don't have to worry about is his instant kill. If you were to go through the arduous process of completing the Nanjo and Ellie routes on one save via New Game Plus, you could obtain the route exclusive material cards for both Lucifer and Satan from Mu Continent. With both, you can use the fusion spell Armageddon, which is a 100% guaranteed instant kill on every enemy. Except Philemon, that is, since he is immune to Armageddon and will respond with Armageddon R, which kills you instantly for trying to pull that shit. As for the rest of his kit, Philemon has 30,000 HP, is a higher level than is possible, and has 99s in every stat but agility. And his other skills leave literally 0 holes. Eternal White deals severe light damage and heals him equal to the damage dealt. He steals Guard, Punish, and Transient Ripple from Nyarlathotep, has Photon Cannon for Havoc, and his unique attack, Spectra Force, deals severe damage of a random magic element besides Light, Dark, Nerve, and Mind. It's actually kind of funny. Nowadays, Atlas gives super bosses massive HP regen and a 12-man goon squad. On the PS1, they made a super boss with 5 moves, and he's a motherfucker.
I'm a fire in my laser!
Unless you're running a persona that blocks all magic, like Artemis, it is impossible to play around Spectral Force. And while those personas do work and even block most of his kit, Photon Cannon will punish you for it. And don't think Propel Cheese with Mahakala will work either. His agility is high enough that he will get a turn where we don't have Makarakan up, and when he does, your life is in his hands. He doesn't even have any buffs, what the fuck? Unfortunately, you were this close. I genuinely wanted to tackle this without grinding with nothing but the personas I finished the game with, but it was not happening. I needed someone new, and that someone came in the form of Vishnu. By returning Lakshmi in the Velvet Room, you can get the material card for Vishnu, and while this meant I had to grind up a second Lakshmi, it was well worth it. Vishnu has solid stats across the board, comes with Megidolan by default, nulls Light and Dark, and takes half damage from everything else. This, alongside roughly 7 levels, made all the difference. And hey, I finally fixed that UI bug. Turns out I just had to bring my stock back down to 6. But with Vishnu on my side, I had everything I needed. Vishnu's primary purpose was Vakukaja. If Philemon uses Transient Ripple, Vishnu can safely buff back up so Artemis doesn't need to worry about Photon Cannon, letting me safely repel most of his attacks while healing as necessary. Sure, you might be able to solo Philemon by max leveling and sitting on Artemis for 25 minutes, and no shade to this guy, but I prefer this way. My way. With my personas and my blood, sweat, and tears. Because even if I'm broke, I'm still the richest woman in Sumaru City. And with my gambling, my maps, and all of my spell cards, I defeated Philemon using Maya's unique attack for the first time in the entire run, Crescent Mirror! With Philemon defeated, he congratulates us on our success, and then we're given a Resident Evil-style score. But with that, we have completed Persona 2 Eternal Punishment with only Maya. With the asterisk of needing Ulala and Ellie to talk to people for me. See, if anyone can prove that the Jacks can start a conversation, this run becomes possible, and I'd love to hear it. But with Tatsuya, Nyarlathotep, and Philemon all defeated, we have completed the Persona 2 solo run twice over. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Ta-ta! Special thanks to Patreon members Sokekin, Gracemi, Kirara, Hound, Dylan Toomey, and Minkwan Tai. And to YouTube members Dawn Shimmer, Axel Ryman, Ryoko Freak, 0132132, Dude Pretty 2388, Nasuna Kato, Upland 2, Not D Waddler, Jaffinator 2166, Peek at the Wumpus, Hunter Regal, Shadowcoin, Ray the Shame, Platinum Espresso, Agrith Dragonflame, Kibo 1202, Nep Dimension Bun 8321, and Ricky Runs 1059. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself as well as you would others. Punishment isn't eternal.
How the hell did we get scammed this hard? I had like 4 lines to myself.
Speak for yourself. I only had 3. I wasn't even in this game.